I go first. Yeah.
Yo, what is going on, DGBA YouTube loyalists? Today we are bringing you coverage of Season 12 Speed Boost. This is going to be our live power rankings. You got your boy Glop, and today I am accompanied by a few special guests.
Hello, my name is Jeremy.
Hello, I'm not very special actually, unfortunately.
That's Haz. Sorry for him. He's a little bit depressed. But...
Yeah, I'm very depressed to be here and to do this intro for like the 50th time.
We've had a few interruptions by a beloved member of the MILF hunting community, aka Haz's mom. But it's okay because we're here and we're gonna give you guys a fire power ranking session. And starting off at number 16, we have none other than BM.
Let's go over his roster first, I think. So BM has Mew, Infernape, Azumarill, Venusaur, Mega, Haxorus, Gengar, Registeel, Morpeko, Gligar, Double, Ducklet, and Ninjask. Now, so my first impression of this team is that JJ drafted it and not BM.
Yeah, honestly, the fact that JJ drafted it makes me have absolutely zero sympathy that this is the number 16 team.
It's not that good.
Wait, this guy didn't draft it himself?
Yeah, he didn't draft him. He couldn't even be bothered to draft his team. And then the person he asked to draft his team is the person who has a reputation for drafting bad teams.
I see. I mean,
it's like he asked to just have 10 weeks of absolute depression with his team.
Okay, I didn't know we were going to be laying into this guy. Christ. I just think, when I look at the team,
it's more so JJ.
I wasn't a big fan of it for a few reasons. The number one thing that jumps out to me was just that, the Mons don't feel like they synergize together too well. You can look at some of the typings and say, yeah, they kind of complement each other, but it doesn't feel like they, whittle down each other's checks and counters effectively. They don't really create opportunities for each other, and I'm just not a fan of mono flying resist Registeel. That's just I feel like this team just gets eaten alive by Choice Band Brave Birds or something. I don't know. It feels wrong.
There's a lot of things wrong, I think. With it's just for example, his defoggers are very. You don't really want defog on them, like Gligar and Mew. Sometimes you really don't want it.
Well, Ducklet's a good defogger.
Morpeko, gets rapid spin.
I said Ducklet's a pretty good defogger. What do you mean?
Gligar is a good defogger.
No, Ducklet.
That's not a good.
Respect
Ducklet. Listen, Duck is a one of a kind. Okay, I was not gonna mention him until later.
I understand.
Yeah. So so one mon that I do actually really like from this team is Haxorus, because I really want to see how it does with Skill Shot. I think that's actually pretty cool to see.
For sure,
but
it is a new tool.
Other than that, I think there's just so many things wrong with the team. Mew and Infernape, okay, it's a decent start, but your speed is very lackluster. You don't really have, you don't have the best removal at the same time as you don't have much spike stacking yourself, so it's not like you can stack up alongside someone.
Right, and that is a great point you make, because I feel like something overlooked is that so the two biggest things that kind of handle Mega Venusaur are either flying types or grounded steels and things like that, bulky psychics, right? And I feel like to really complement Venusaur, you want to have some kind of spike pressure, because that just allows it to beat its checks and counters so much more easily. And Mew does get that, but I feel like on this team, if that's what you plan to do, then every week you're dedicating Mew to hazards, and that's it's not the greatest thing, right? Because then somebody else has to be hazard removal. So, or what, you bring in the same 6 every week? I don't know.
The thing is also that Mew is so versatile, you really don't want to have it be one role, usually.
Right. It's always nice to have another partner Pokemon that can do some of those things that Mew can also do, which it can do a lot, admittedly. But having something else there to be able to spike or, get the hazards up is always nice. And it's Registeel can get up rocks, but that's about it. Otherwise, it just kind of sits there and toxics and seismic tosses. And most teams have some kind of status absorption or a way to kind of ward off just repeated seismic tosses to the point where you're not really able to get anywhere with what Registeel does.
Yeah, when looking at this team, he has Azumarill, right, which is very good for ground types, but he really doesn't have much for the ground types himself. He has a Gligar, but a lot of ground types get knockoff, Crocodile, Landers T, Lanois even, Size Mateo, and I don't know, it just seems a little bit off in a lot of places, even though it can sometimes work. It's just very off, and you don't get many transactions in the DGBA, like free agency transactions. You only really get free from draft onward. So there's a lot to be fixed, and not a lot to have or like get fixed later.
Another thing that's kind of important too is I feel like a lot of the key members are just kind of like, I just feel like they're kind of missing something that you would want, right? Like your only Volt switcher is Morpeko, which is like, I mean, unless you put it on Mew. But again, that just kind of goes back to like, usually with Mew, you want to be able to have partners that can take up some of those like crucial roles that almost every team has. For example, things like knockoff or Volt switch, hazards, etc. And I just don't feel like the core really brings that to the table as much as some other rosters or other teams we've seen that have drafted Mew. So I think that kind of all lends itself to why we've ranked it at number 16. Haz, what are your thoughts?
Okay. I will say first of all, Mew can spikes and T spikes if he wants to go down that route. Obviously, that limits Mew in other places. You don't really want to rely on it too much, but the option is there. I think like one of the biggest reasons this has fallen off to like number 16 is that looking at some of his lower picks, I feel like there isn't really that much great value that he got. Like I don't think Morpeko's like I think Morpeko can do stuff in like certain matchups because of its like coverage and stuff, but overall I don't really think it's that great of a mon. I think there may be also better picks in double for 4 points, and he got like a Ducklet and a Ninjask, which I don't really think do all that much. I think maybe Ninjask isn't terrible for 1 point, but Ducklet's obviously a meme pick.
It's a meme. Yeah.
You could honestly use that to just get much better.
BM has this whole duck thing going on, so I think he just wanted Ducklet for like the memes.
Yeah, but obviously that's not going to help you in the power ranking. I think his defensive core is very, very passive. Even though Gligar can get U-turn, I think all in all, like it's going to just allow certain things to get in a lot easier, which I think his team won't appreciate all that much. And he's going to be in the back foot a lot of the time. I think his offensive core don't have terrible synergy as such, but I feel like a lot of it comes down to like Infernape, like working. And if you get rid of Infernape, Infernape kind of enables a lot of other things to go off. And I also think that outside of Gengar, and like, I mean, you can argue Mega Venusaur, but I think Mega Venusaur is going to be stuck into a defensive role most of the time.
Right.
He doesn't have good special offense at all on this team. Like, Mew's going to have to run setup in order to get like the special offensive mentor, but like, it's pretty much just Gengar, which is going to have like immediate special offense, which could pose an issue.
Right. Even knowing that though, I mean, the Gengar can do some things. You know, obviously this generation now having access to Nasty Plot is quite a nice tool for it. So against you know, more defensive, slower means of stopping it, you can kind of get around those just thanks to the insane power that Nasty Plot brings. And the other thing too is another kind of nice tool of this generation is that Pursuit no longer exists, right? So
yeah, absolutely. I think Gengar was a good pick for
sure.
There at that slot. I just think Gengar's just pressured into breaking.
I think the main issue is like a little bit from what Glop said from the beginning, right? It's like all these mons are great in their own right and like work in a lot of scenarios. It just doesn't like synergize well, and usually I think with this team you're gonna have a lot of issues with like forming a game plan because a lot of these mons like overlap or like don't really do what they want to do synergy wise.
For sure.
Like, for example, Mew and Gengar can work together very well in terms of like they can break for each other in different ways. And like Infernape can always help if you turning into Gengar, or like are you turning into Gengar as the way Grass type comes in, for example. So there are some synergies. It's just like it doesn't work as one, and instead it's a lot of like individual pieces that just are there to me.
For sure.
I think as well, Registeel's kind of pressured a lot. Like he has Morpeko as well as a flying resist, but that's not really a flying resist. I think Registeel's is only rock resist as well, from the looks of it.
Correct.
which could pose an issue. And I just think in general this team's kind of it's just really lacking all in all.
I thought you were gonna say dog.
Yeah, we can call this dog. It's not very good, but he has made some transactions
For sure.
So,
Dogwood.
Any closing thoughts for you guys?
actually, what were his
No.
Okay, I'll quickly mention his transactions, although it won't affect his placing a bit. He dropped Registeel, Morpeko, Ninjask, Double for Melmetal and Alolan Persian. What do you think of that?
I think that
definitely an upgrade. But,
I like the Melmetal and I like the Persian.
the only thing I don't like about that is how Melmetal's just not as good as Registeel, I think, in terms of defensive. But it's definitely an upgrade. And as a mod.
What it does do is it does lend itself towards, like, when I see Infernape, Haxorus, Azumarill, I think immediately, and Gengar especially, I think more of an offensive nature of a team. It does add that, like, steel typing that you want for defensive synergy while also maintaining huge offensive pressure, right? Because Melmetal just has such great HP and defenses that it's going to be able to come in on those attacks and, clap back. So
instead of like the issues that we said before, like where it's kind of passive.
Exactly.
It kind of just, it makes it more offensively based instead of that, which works. So yeah, I think we can move on to number 15.
Yep.
If you can. Yeah.
Coming in at number 15, we have the roster here from the Chicago Conkelders with Dave. He's rocking a roster of Tapu Koko, Garchomp Mega, Excadrill, Tyranitar, Togekiss, Jellicent, Entei, Glastrier, Virizion, and Mesprit.
I'll let Haz start off with this one because we talked a lot before. I'll let Haz start.
Oh, thank you. I'm so blessed. I'm so touched that you'd start off with me. Okay.
No problem.
Okay. I think this team's kind of an interesting team. So he picks up Koko in his first round. Obviously, Koko got nerfed a bit from what we initially thought from the DLC leaks. But I still think it's kind of decent. I think Koko's good if you get like good strong mons around it still. Like it can generally do its job like the same way as it did before. It's just there are slightly more things that can just come in and like defensively check it, but it's still a good like pivot into other strong threats. And then he kind of went in let me just get sand. I think I don't really know how I feel about it from there, because I think it just I think the threats themselves aren't like that, they're decent, but it's nothing standout per se, if you get what I mean.
I do, yeah. And it looks to me like after Togekiss and Jellicent, he just went like mono four-leg for a minute.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. That's what I was saying earlier. I feel like he just grabbed give me three legendaries that are types I don't have. And like that was like the idea. And I mean, like sure, yeah, like type wise they do lend themselves kind of nicely. You got the fire, water, grass core with Entei, Jellicent, and Virizion respectively, but even then I do like the sand aspect, and I do think Koko can do really well in sand, right? A lot of these, Garchomp, Tyranitar, Excadrill can get shut down by these, bulky waters and things like that, and all three of those put a lot of pressure on it. It's just that, like, kind of like what we saw with the previous team, like, I don't see how these last four members, maybe outside of Mesprit, lend themselves really well to this archetype. And I feel like you're going to be so pressured to almost always bring Jellicent, because if the opponent has a really, like, good water in a matchup, like, Jellicent won't beat every water. It can beat a lot, but it won't beat everyone. You might often be forced to bring Virizion, and now it's like you have to commit, spin on Drill, or you have to run Defog on Koko, and those are Pokemon that really, really love to have, like, offensive moves over those slots oftentimes. Spin can be used on Drill, I think, right? You can make a case for it. The speed boost is nice, but overall, you'd rather just have, like, exceptional coverage in a matchup.
I think... Oh, sorry, go on. Sure.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. I think that the Jellicent pick is huge for him. It's just like you don't want to bank on the Jellicent every single week. And like you said, yeah, you have the fire, water, grass, but like Entei and Virizion aren't like very bulky in a way. I mean, Virizion can be bulky. It's just like it's not gonna do what like a Tangrowth would, or even a Tangela, like for a lower tier grass.
Right.
And I think the 7, or like the first 6, and then Mesprit are like very good together. Like that's a pretty good sand team, right? You could see that in like, I don't know, like 8-mon, and it would be pretty good. But then you have Entei, Glacier, and Virizion, who are just kind of niche in a lot of matchups, and yeah, they can work for sure, but it's just kind of like, like, are you sure those are the things you want out of those typings? Because Entei is not really going to be a defensive fire ever at all, and when it is, it's probably going to be soft toxic only, right?
Right.
And other than that, it'll probably just be banded, or maybe like, I don't know, like fire plate, so you have E-speed or whatever, it's just kind of, or scarf, I guess, but it's just there's not much room to wiggle with. Of course, the Glacier can be good. We've not really seen it so far. Can be good, but its Ferdy speed is very lackluster, but its bulk is very good, so it can definitely live a hit and then just throw one out, like a Mega Maw somewhat, but like an ice type ish kind of form of it. So yeah, it's a sand team. I don't think sand teams are ever really, really bad, because it's sand. Sand as an archetype is just good. But yeah, I think the team just isn't perfected in a way because of the niches that he got instead of what he could have gotten.
True. And just really quickly to add, I really like the point you made where you talked about, is that really what you want from those types? When you were referring to Virizion and Entei, like I see a sand team. I think like you were saying earlier, a Tangrowth is a great addition to a sand build because you want something to come in and just soak up those water type attacks. Then you can pivot out with and keep momentum. And like Virizion can definitely be used offensively. It's just that it doesn't, like Tangrowth has knockoff to disrupt the opposing team, whereas Virizion doesn't have a lot of moves like that. It often wants to be running offensive. And the other issue too is that even if you were to run something like Synthesis, you've got Sand up, so you're limiting your recovery. So I don't like how it kind of meshes in that regard.
And yeah, like same thing with Virizion, right? It's like ground types are very good against Excadrill T-Tar type of sand builds. So you're very much pressuring Jellicent to take a lot of those hits, or let Togekiss come in on those. And rock types, or rock type moves are very common on ground types, right? So or like I said earlier with the knockoff thing, like it can knock off and then your boots are gone, and then what are you going to do when you take 25% from rocks? Like, yeah, you're just kind of putting a lot of pressure on Togekiss, Jellicent, and Mesprit to take that role on when they're not perfect for that role. They're usually like very much better in different roles that a team can provide, or that a team might need, sorry. I died.
Mr. Haz is deep in contemplation.
Oh, I thought I died because you were.
Oh, sorry. It said my connection was really bad, so I thought I was lagging out.
You're good, man.
Okay. I actually did have some more things I want to say.
Sure.
Okay. I think I explained my point earlier kind of badly, so I'm just going to go back to that. I think Garchomp Excadrill it's a good threatening core, right? But they kind of do similar things, and you're investing a lot of points into that. And I feel like maybe you could have not gone. I mean, I think obviously like they break similar things, so you could argue that they break the same kind of checks. I think maybe that's what he's trying to go for. But I think all in all, it kind of like makes the rest of the team kind of less threatening, if that makes sense, for getting like a similar output.
For sure. Yeah, I feel like they kind of overlap in that regard. Like, I feel like, like for sand, like usually when you see a sand mode of a team, yeah, you'd love to have multiple like ways to kind of bring it out and make it happen. But I feel like just kind of thinking back to like the draft that I had, for example, in like MLP, was I just had like T-Tar and Excadrill, and that in and of itself was enough a lot of times to just like overwhelm the opposing team. I feel like a lot of those I feel like it's more duos than it is like, weather plus 3 friends, unless you're running maybe something like sun. That might be the only exception, right? Because both fire and grass types benefit from this, whereas it's like, yes, Garchomp and Excadrill both benefit from sand, but it's like, choose one, dude. Like, You've got Coco for speed.
Yeah.
If you want, if you wanted the power, Garchomp was the pick.
I think Rain, Sand, and Hill too. If you want Arctozolt, right? Just usually work better if you just put a pocket of it. So you have, for example, Excadrill, T-Tar. You don't really make an Archetype of your team. You just put fucking an Excadrill and a T-Tar there, and they'll do their job. Right? They'll do the sand.
Yeah, or like I think Ishan had a kind of mode like that last season in Swarm where he had Gigalith. Like he got Drill early, which Drill was just a good member of the team for spin and like being that solid ground type that you want to have. But then he also had Gigalith in the back, so versus certain matchups, he could be like, oh, Sand Rush goes in, and then he could just bring out the Sand mode. So I kind of see what you're saying.
In other words, you can run like utility.
I think this might be very weird to say, but even though there is a Coco and the Excadrill with Sand, I think this team's actually kind of slow, in the sense that I think it relies way too much on like the Sand threats.
Sure.
To have speed. Like Jerry, if you look at all these other ones, they're all kind of not particularly fast, besides like maybe Virizion.
Yeah.
But I think Virizion's a really niche mon. I don't think it's gonna come.
It is quite niche, but the speed tier is really nice. I think 108 is a really good benchmark because a lot of times.
Oh yeah, it's a nice speed tier.
Yeah.
But it's just not gonna come most weeks. So if people are able to like shut down like Sand in like various ways, I think he's gonna have to like rely on Coco to like revenge kill most of the time.
For sure. Or having Sand up with the Drill.
Yeah, and then a couple of other things I've noticed. I think his removal's kind of, he has removal like Coco doesn't really want to run Defog at all, especially since it removes electric terrain now. Excadrill like spin's nice, but you can't always fill it in. But it's a pretty good spinner.
It is.
And then
great.
The only other one is like Togekiss, which like wants to run like a lot of other moves as well.
Right. Like
so he might have an issue of hazards. And he also doesn't have a poison type, but I don't think he's super weak to T-Spikes. But
I was gonna say the opposite. I think he's really, really weak to T-Spikes.
He is a bit weak to T-Spikes.
Because like if Jellicent gets poisoned, that's curtains. Like a lot of time Jellicent wants to run like leftovers or something like that, or maybe a Colbur Berry, right, to take a knockoff. And the issue is if you get that thing poisoned, its job becomes so much harder, right? That extra.
I was saying it more in the sense that he has Excadrill and Togekiss, which can remove him without taking the T-Spike damage.
True.
I do understand what you mean.
Kind of going back on what you said a second ago, where like Togekiss wants to have other moves, like you want to be able to run like absolutely. Thunder Wave or Nasty Plot versus a more defensive team, right? But if you're forced to slot it in there, it's like, well, this sucks. I always have to run Defog Roost, like.
Yeah, I think T-Toss is only Ghost Resist, so if a Ghost has like Focus Blast, for example, that could be a bit of an issue. For him. It
starts getting kind of, would you say, dodgy?
Yeah, exactly. Right. I think Ghost Spam in general is just a bit scary for him. But I mean, I don't think it's like an unusable team. Like
for
he
sure.
has a lot of like he has good offensive threats. I think defensively it's really lackluster, and I think if you shut down Sand, then a lot of the strong offensive parts of this team kind of get dwindled a bit, and I think he struggles a lot more.
Jeremy, did you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I play this team week 1. I played it later today actually, and when I'm prepping, I'm like, I can definitely see that it's like a usable team for sure. It's just like there are some things that are like flawed in it, which could have been better, which make it a little bit less good than perfect.
So in this recording that goes up after that game, you're getting the dub, right?
Hopefully.
All right. Very nice.
Dave does have a good record against me, so I do not know, man.
I'm excited to see it. Next on our list here, we have Club Penguin Lodge Big Fish. We have TCMTL, and he is rocking a roster of Aegislash, Tapu Lele, Nidoking, Cinderace, Porygon 2, Starmie, Florges, Rotom, Darmanitan G, Colossal, and Sceptile Mega. Kind of a crazy assortment.
Yeah, it's a crazy type team.
Bro, I both love and hate this team at the same time.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's really fun, but it's also.
It does look fun.
There are issues.
That was my thought when I looked at this team. Like, this looks fun. like.
No, this is a TC team for sure. One thing that I am gonna note down immediately is that he really is good at using Tapu Lele. From what I know, he used it in Hive Weedle, and he like only have it die once and had like what 20 free kills or something throughout the season. It was insane. And yeah, that's Hive Kakuna and not or not Kakuna, Hive Weedle. But
Wasn't that also
he
expanding?
knows how to use them on, right? He knows how to use them on properly.
For sure.
Wasn't that expanding for Soleil though?
I think they banned it. I'm pretty sure they banned it.
If they banned it, okay, then it's the same thing. But if not, then obviously he's gonna have to struggle a bit more.
Speaking of the Force, though, that is a good point you make, Has, because Starmie actually gets expanding Force, and I think that thing can be insane.
That's why I think he got it.
Yeah, dude, because with Analytic, like, I used Starmie last season in Swarm, and Starmie is just, it's great. It's great, dude. It's so strong with Analytic. Like, most teams can't avoid a 2-hit KO.
I think people underrate how strong Starmie can be.
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
And usually just put it as defensive water type role, even though it's very strong with like Life Orb Analytic, for example.
Yeah, it's like pretty. It's usually able to hit like a whole team solidly well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and usually you have like these mons that are like strong, right? With Scarf, and then that's how they beat Starmie, because Starmie has a really good speed tier in 115, which 110 is like one of the best speed tiers, right? And it outspeeds those, which is really good because you're outspeeding like a lot of the metagame.
Right.
And then like a lot of the time people go like, okay, I have a Scarf Lando with U-turn, so a Scarf Lando T in U-turn, and then it just rapid spins and it gets +1, and now what's your Lando going to do? It's not going to outspeed anymore, so like what's your answer now?
And its defenses are serviceable.
Tommy even has flip turn as well now.
True.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that's really, really useful on defensive like roles for it, because one of the things you always want in a defensive Pokemon is for it to lend itself both well defensively and offensively, right? So like the aforementioned Tangrowth we talked about, Knockoff is great because it supports the offensive teammates. Starmie is great because it supports your teammates by getting the momentum, and I think it's really, really valuable to have. The only real things that stop them from flip turning is like a water absorb Pokemon, and a lot of times you can just throw out a Toxic on that. So it's always got ways to like force progress in a battle. So I like the Starmie pick a lot.
Speaking of status, Natural Cure on Starmie is great.
Busted.
You do not need to worry about Porygon getting toxic by a fighting type, for example.
This is just Starmie the team.
Mon.
Yeah. We've had all these other. It's just no longer a Mon. It's just Starmie.
Dude, he's that Gen 1 boy.
We're going over it like one by one, right?
So, Meteor Beam though?
For example, Porygon will come in on a Mon and get you don't want to have it to get toxic, and then you can come into Starmie, for example, and then fighting types can toxicate, like they can Florges if it doesn't have aromatherapy, and then you can just swap out and toxic is gone. So they have to like work around it more.
So the meme is to always tie every member to Starmie, right?
Yes. Anyways, so Aegislash, obviously a very good mon. And that paired with Lele can be very threatening offensively, but obviously Aegislash is also very good defensively itself.
Sure. One thing to note for that though is that there's a little bit of mis-synergy where like if you want to run physical Aegislash, you might not be able to run Shadow Sneak all the time. So you do have to be mindful of that.
Yeah, that's true. But at least one thing, because like Aegislash and Lele aren't the best at dealing with steals. Yeah, Aegislash and Lele both get fighting coverage, but sometimes you don't really want it. Mostly on Aegislash is what I'm thinking.
Right.
But then you have Nidoking and Cinderace like after that, who can both just kind of power through those, which is pretty good.
Or Starmie.
Yeah, Starmie. I think the reason why we put this team so low though is because of a lot of mons are kind of underwhelming. Like Porygon 2 and Forges, I think, are not the greatest mons out there.
I think
P2
I
a
think
lot.
P2's fine for this team.
Yeah.
She doesn't know Ghost.
I think I don't think the roles that they provide are like bad for like, it's not like with Dave where you're like, okay, Virizion just doesn't really fit the role, but I just think that the mons themselves are like lackluster and won't do as much as he might want from them.
Sure. There's also a pretty glaring dark weakness for the team, and mostly just like from the fact that Florges, if he gets knocked off, that really sucks. Also, Florges usually going to be pressured.
Florges is the only dark resist, I think, on this team.
Yeah, and so that creates some issues there. But like the one thing the team really has going for it is all these like they're just crazy offensive threats. Like oftentimes, like just in a matchup going up against one or two of these Pokemon, and you're pretty scared. But then you have like Aegislash, Tapu Lele, Nidoking, Cinderace, and you're like, how do I prepare for all these? Like, it's kind of crazy, you know?
Yeah, he's got a lot of like really good threats on this team. I'm not really sure why he got Mega Sceptile besides speed, and I guess like he probably needed a Mega, and there's Mega Sceptiles there. I guess I'll take that.
Does it get Terrain Pulse?
It was just TC saying, yes, I want to make a Sceptile, honestly.
Does it? That's a good question. I'm gonna look that up.
It might get Terrain Pulse, which would be a nice, synergistically.
It doesn't.
Damn.
I mean, Mega Sceptile isn't bad. I just don't really see what it really does on this team.
Well, there is still some synergy with it, where like a lot of times you can't KO Sceptile by outspeeding it, so you're going to be using priority like Shadow Sneak, Sucker Punch, and you can kind of just mitigate that with the Psychic Drain.
That's true.
Yeah. It just feels like certain types put onto the team offensively pressure it really hard. Like Water and Dark, I think are really tough. Outside of
I think good ground types also hurt.
True.
Like Mega Sceptile isn't a great ground resist, and it's Rotom, I think, is the other ground.
I mean, P2 is basically a ground resist, but yeah, over the course of a
I
battle.
mean, you can say about most things. P2 is just bulky. It's all resist.
What do you mean, Rotom resist?
Yeah, and the thing is also like it's toxic and get knocked off.
Yeah.
Orlando goes through this team of knockoff, just knock off the
I think P2 is actually kind of pressured on this team a bit.
Right.
Yeah, that's
even though I do think it's a good pick, I just think it's very pressured.
Luckily, it's got that.
Unless he's able to use Florges well, is the thing, and I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see how Florges is.
Fortunately, the Porygon doesn't have to worry about fighting types too much because of the Starmie on the team.
Yeah, he has a very good like ways to deal with fighting types. Like he has a H/, Lele, even Nidoking has a poison type to switch into them like maybe once. Starmie, like you said, and Florges and Rotom are just all pretty good fighting checks.
But it's especially the Starmie though.
Yeah.
Oh,
Especially.
Oh man, he's actually, wait, does he have a Dark type on this team?
No.
No.
Ooh,
Opposing Psychics can be an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, especially because they got that terrain. That's
Right.
definitely one to consider.
He does have Starmie for a resist though.
Actually, I think he has. It's Lele, Starmie, Rotom. And Aegislash is Ghost weaknesses, and P2 is the only immunity, and he has no resist.
It's a pretty damn good immunity though.
It is a pretty damn good. Again, P2 is pressured to like we keep saying, like P2's pretty good against these things.
It's kind of a Gloomon.
Yeah, exactly. But if P2 goes down, then he's kind of in trouble. And like, how am I gonna check this?
Right. But I think
P2 is good at checking stuff, but if it just has to check the whole team's offense,
the thing is though, I feel like the P2 is gonna lend itself less to like it's not gonna serve the role of a traditional defensive mon. Like I feel like it's more gonna be there just to come in on a hit that one of these Pokemon can't take, teleport out, get the next threat in, and go for the try to win the sack war.
But then over time it's just gonna be chipped in range of certain things.
Sure. Then you sack somebody, send out P2, recover, and teleport again.
Yeah.
I mean, as dumb as that sounds, you can do that though.
No, for sure.
But yeah, I think overall it's just it's a lot of offense. I think we would like to see a little bit more, maybe some better defensive synergy. And I'm not sure.
More Starmie, please. More Starmie.
Yeah, I mean the Starmie.
Actually, another thing I noticed. I think he could do with another rocket. Maybe.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
I think
really has
either King and Colossal. They aren't terrible rockers.
But you're not bringing Colossal.
Maybe another one.
I hate Colossal. I'm not a fan of the mon. That's
I
just
think
me.
even if you do bring Colossal, you usually don't bring rocks though. You usually want to bring spikes.
Spikes,
True.
exactly right. And like Nidoking, like it wants to run T spikes, for example, but then it's gonna be pressure on rocks a lot of the time. That's the issue.
Yeah, and it also needs to get them up in like different ways than you usually want to get your rocks up, like very safe. You need to pressure something out before you can actually get it up.
Do we want to?
Although I think rocks are less important because of heavy duty boots, it's still rocks are rocks. It's just broken. But yeah.
Mr. Has any closing thoughts?
Starmie is my closing thought.
Starmie.
Starmie's the way.
Yep, Starmie's the way.
Coming in
But,
at
actually, have you even mentioned Galladon once?
no, dude. Look, just bring him on with
said it
protect,
once.
and you're you're good. It's
a darn.
it's just another one of those. Like I said, it's literally he just like, okay, give me as many offensive threats as I can throw together in a team plus P2 for teleport. Like that's the vibe I get.
I mean, I can see Galladon working on this team because there's a lot of offensive threats, right? And then there's a Galladon as well. It's just a lot of things you have to like prep for.
Right. It's kind of hiding in the back, right? I feel like it's very easy
exactly.
to overlook the Darm, and then you're like, wait, he had a Darm?
Right. That's basically what we haven't even mentioned it once.
It's the stealth Darm.
I recognized it. I was just like, I think Darm's bad, so I'm not even gonna mention it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could do work on this team. I think it could do work.
For sure.
Yeah, I can for sure. Especially because like his he pressures large as well.
Exactly.
Coming in at number 13, we have none other than the Denver Big Nuggets with Luke rocking a roster here of Zapdos, Lopunny Mega, Kyurem, Nidoqueen. Is it Uxie or Uxie? I think it's Uxie.
Uxie.
Yeah. Vaporeon, Diancie, Dhelmise, Sneasel, Arcanine, and Matang.
About the Uxie thing, if you really want to, Has always say Ukasi.
Ukasi.
Yeah, he said Ukasi.
That is not a pronunciation.
Pretty funny.
That is
It is
that's the only way.
This was pretty funny. I talked about PRs a little bit with a friend of mine, Toxic, who's in Swarm, and I just randomly said something about Glop, like for example, his removal was iffy. His ground resistance does not really exist. The ground resistance are kind of like that's how you kind of go over like things. They were like, there's more issues like no spikes, like a low pony or little knock users. And then I looked at Luke's team and I was like, that's kind of very true for his. And I didn't even look at a team when I said that. There's very little knockers for low pony to like get rid of the Rocky Helmet, for example, for a Mew. Or get the spikes up so the Mew is actually pressured. I'm just using Mew as an example, right? And then the ground resistance is just not really there. Like, yeah, you have Zapdos, but like I said earlier, ground usually have rock coverage, and then Uxie will be very pressured into that. Yes, there's a Dhelmise, but Dhelmise is not that great of a mon.
I think it's a good mon.
It's not great, but it's
fine.
It gets the job done. And it's sick.
So in terms of supporting Lopunny, I think this team is not great, but Lopunny does support the rest of the team decently. That's something I want to say.
I mean, the only thing really supporting the Lopunny, like there is momentum, right? There's flip turn Vaporeon, Volt Switch Zapdos. That's nice. You turn on Ukazi too, if that's how we want to say it. But yeah, I don't like that it's the only knocker.
Did you say Ukasi? That's a new pronunciation all in itself.
I just don't like Uxie always having to run knockoff every week. That just doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah, I mean I like the first 4 picks. I think Zapdos actually is a very good pairing with Glop.
I do agree.
This team, looking at this team like right now, like what I just noticed, look at this team and like he does not have a good knockoff machine. Yeah, you have Glop, but usually like you don't want to switch a Glop hard in on some mons that do run knockoff, like a Zero Aura, for example. It can just like CCU or Focus Blast or Plasma Fist even, and then it knocks off the Kyurem, maybe the Zapdos, or like the Vaporeon for like other mons like a Crocodile. You know, it can like a lot of his mons really want heavy duty boots or leftovers like Vaporeon, and then they're very much crippled otherwise.
I mean, there's a whole Diancie right there.
Yeah, but the thing is with the Diancie, it doesn't come to many
Matchups.
matchups, and knockoff is such a universal move that it's just hard to take care of it.
Right. I mean, if you're a baller, you go Lopunny on the knock every time, but it's a hard play to make, right? You don't want to just throw away one of your.
I feel like just the second part of his team is just so underwhelming.
I mean, Sneasel's good, and I think Arcanine's really solid as well.
I like Arcanine. I think Sneasel's
Arcanine was a
not
very
as
good late
good
pick.
this gen. Like, it's not a terrible one, and I think he obviously need the speed because then after Lob it would go Zapdos, and that would cause problems in of itself.
True.
But yeah, I just feel like he maybe just from Nidoqueen onwards, I feel like he maybe could have made a lot more smarter picks, and I just don't really see what his team's trying to accomplish. Like,
I mean, I see a couple synergies that I really like. Namely, the U-turn and Volt Switch from Zapdos allowing Kyurem to come in. That's pretty huge. A lot of teams can really struggle. Like, if your Steel type is not good Spadef-wise, you're going to struggle switching into Kyurem. Or if you don't have a solid fairy.
For example.
Sure. But a big synergy I really see that I like is Toxic Spikes from Nidoqueen with Kyurem. A lot, like, especially if like your answers to Kyurem are like slower defensive mons and you don't have a great T-Spikes, like a way to get rid of it. Oftentimes Kyurem can just come in, substitute up, and just laugh as it clicks like Freeze Dry and Icicle Spear and kills everything. So I think that's definitely something that like people are gonna have to watch out for. And I really do like how that synergizes, Like, getting those grounded fairies poisoned just makes them so much easier to kill off later. I guess unless your name's Clefable.
Yeah, I'm just really surprised that he went Matang as his steel type. I guess there was maybe like all his good steel types got taken, or we just didn't have great foresight ahead of the draft.
Right, like a Scizor would
I
have
feel
looked
like
really
the top
nice.
three would really appreciate having a good solid steel to support them, but it's just a Matang.
It's just a whole Matang.
Yeah,
Hey, that boy gets up rocks. Don't sleep.
I also think his removal is not particularly like Zapdos is obviously a really good removal, but you could if you knock off Boots, and we said earlier,
Right.
doesn't have great knockoff switchings. That's a problem. And then his other one's obviously Delmise, which isn't a bad spinner, but it does take T-Spikes, it does take Spikes.
Unless you have boots.
Yeah, unless you have Boots, which we might see some Boots Delmise.
I mean, honestly, it can fill a really good role of like what Jeremy was saying earlier about like not having a great ground answer. Yeah, ground types do get knockoff, but like certain ground types are never breaking Delmise. It's just a fat grass type. And with boots, with boots
That
too,
is true.
you're not gonna get past that boy. Like, he's never taking hazard damage. He can just synthesis up.
I don't think this team is like from the thing that I said earlier. It was like a random narration that
Sure.
kind of, but it's kind of true. But he still has a little bit of lackluster ground checks. I mean, of course, Zapdos, Uxie, and Delmas are all pretty good at it. And Vaporeon too. It's Vaporeon. It can take a lot of hits. And he has a lot of ways to deal with them offensively in Sneasel and Kyurem. It's just, it's just kind of, sometimes it won't work as well, especially if you need to like bench the Delmise or bench Uxie because it's not good. Other than that, I think the team is honestly fine. I think a lot of teams, even in the lower half, are like decent.
Yeah, it's not a terrible team. I think this team just could have been a lot better than it ended up being.
Right.
Yeah.
Like this is definitely functionable.
For sure.
It's probably not the scariest team like on paper, but I think if he like plays well with it, you can definitely get wins with it.
We're overlooking Trick Room Uxie into Delmise. That's
How many different pronunciations of it have you gone with?
Don't worry about it.
Are you trying to fit as many different ones as you can? Is that what we're doing?
We're developing a theme here. Every team, we just focus on one mon way too much. I agree a lot with what Haz says. It'll get the job done.
Yeah.
Have you guys mentioned?
But I also think you should be very wary of him getting hazard stacked himself.
True.
Because I think if he gets hazard stacked, I think he's pretty much screwed unless his boots aren't knocked off on certain ones.
Have you guys mentioned Nidoking much except for T-Spikes? Because I think a lot of people like Nidoking in this gen, but I think Nidoking is also very good at what Nidoking can do.
Oh
in
yeah,
terms
yeah,
of
of
breaking
course,
down.
yeah.
For sure.
Nidoqueen's still a pretty good mon.
I feel like it's a timeless mon. Like it wherever it ends up in tier wise, or even just in draft, I feel like it's very consistent in what it does. You know?
Yeah.
It's very. I think the best part about the Neos is just the roll compression they have. It's just insane.
Also, they look
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Nidoqueen's just a pretty reliable mon in general.
Do we
I
want
don't
to?
have much more to say about this draft.
Do we wanna
honestly.
move
I
on?
think Zapdos with the. Yeah, I think Zapdos with the more offensive power this gen, obviously pretty good.
It
I
does.
just think that it's less, powerful than it could have been.
Yeah,
In terms
and
of
I
it
guess,
as a
I guess
team.
the only other thing I want to say is that I think it's I don't particularly like his speed tiers on this team. I think there are a lot of mons around 100, and then I don't think there are like many like I think like his only good like fairly fast Scarfer is like Kyurem, and like maybe Scarf Sneasel, but I don't think Scarf Sneasel has like enough like really good output per se.
No, I mean Triple Axle's pretty damn good. And
Yeah,
Sneasel-
but
it's
the
serviceable, but
only issue is that Sneasel has like I think 95 base attack, which just isn't all that amazing.
is it really that low? I thought it was like 100.
I think it's 95. Pretty sure
Okay.
it's 95.
Right, you'd rather have a boosting move like SD then, or like a
Yeah,
life orb.
exactly. Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, or life orb or whatever, or band.
Coming,
I think that's enough for this team. Unless you want to say something.
Yeah, drop Matang, Bella, Steel type. Stop being a Ratataman wannabe, okay? Ratataman's the only one who can get away with using Matang.
Chinaman leaves you immediately try to take him over. Yeah, okay, buddy. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Ratataman wannabe. This actually feels like a Ratat. I could see Ratataman drafting this team.
only bringing 5 mons.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 12 here, we have the Washington Braviaries. And they've got a roster here, Rye, of Spectrier, Zapdos Galar, Ferrothorn, Sylveon, Lycanroc Dusk, Muckalola, Pelipper, Slowbro Galar, Swampert Mega, and Vikavolt. And I noticed way too many hyphens, way too many hyphenated Pokemon.
Yeah, that actually there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hyphen mons.
Holy, I thought there was
Which
one.
is half the team with hyphens.
I mean, that's going to drop you down a few points immediately. But, like, this team, I don't know. It's like, there's certain aspects of it I really like. I kind of said jokingly when I looked at it initially, I just felt like they wanted to use two new mons from the generation, so, Z.
He did say that in chat.
Yeah, Gyapdos and Spectrier, but it's like, I'm just not sure. I like the defensive mons on the team, but I'm just not sure how well they synergize with each other. One of the things I had said originally, if I'm looking at specifically, Pharaoh, Sylveon, Muck, and Slowbro, and my initial thought was, wow, this team's pretty weak to fire. But then you do have the Pelipper there. But it's like, I don't think Pelipper and Pert enough are going to be able to, like, properly dissuade fire types from just, like, wrecking havoc, Like, if Pelipper goes down, what do you do now? You have a slow water type Swampert, and everybody else is weak to fire. So
there's Lycanroc Dust.
there's a whole Lycanroc
That's
Dust. But I treat that more as an offensive threat. It can check a fire type once. That's it.
I think Pelipper is just very, very pressured on this team. Not only because it like gives rain. I think this team can kind of function without rain. I think it can function better than Dave's team, even though it is a bit more unconventional as a team. But the issue is Pelipper's also is only removal, which I think is really significant.
True.
Because if like, obviously he can like spike stack and like set up webs, but if his opponent's able to successfully stack against Rye, then Pelipper's always going to be pressured to come in, and then you're obviously like chipping it down or like you're able to bait it. So with that, then he loses rain. And obviously, then he has an even bigger issue type with the fire types, like you mentioned.
Right. And I guess one thing cool to note that I guess works in the favor is that a lot of times if the opposing like team is stacking, he has the ability to stack back, right? And then one of them has to choose like, okay, who's defogging, right? Because like Fairthorn and Swampert are going to be able to put up hazards pretty reliably, and like Lycanroc can force out switches just because of its offensive nature, get up rocks. But it's like, I don't know, at what cost, right? Like I feel like you want more consistent management of hazards, kind of like you were saying.
My next question is, what's his ice resist?
Fairthorn.
Yeah, it's not particularly great.
Right.
I can't.
Especially if it's freeze dry as well. I mean, I guess
Something
like,
that I really do
Fairthorn
like-
and Melodimark can take most freeze dries, but then
It can.
That,
And Galar Slowbro can
Something
take
that,
most physical ice, but
yeah.
One thing that I really do like about this team is how well the new Zapdos like fits into it. I think Zapdos like actually works really
Yeah,
well
I
for
agree.
this team.
with all that hazard pressure, they're going to be forced to defog, and then you get the free boost, and that can definitely set you up in a good position.
Yeah,
And you could scarf it too, for your speed control
or like
outside of
for
ring.
example, like Swampert gets flip turn now, and then in comes the grass, and hello, my name is Zapdos. What are you gonna do? Because like my Brave Bird's gonna kill something.
True.
And like Spectrier like doesn't really love normals or darks, and then Zapdos comes in on those, and it's like, hello, give me my kill.
I feel like the Muck pick was just greedy. He just didn't want anybody else to have an answer to Spectre.
I think Muck fits decently well.
Oh, no, it does.
Especially-
I mean, I'm a big fan
Especially
of
with
Muck.
like Sylveon, Ferrothorn, Muck, and I guess kind of Pelipper and Galos. I don't know if I mean you've used Galos, though, bro.
I used Galar Slowbro and Muckalola on the same team.
Do you think? Because I feel like Galos Slowbro is like it's kind of bulky, but I don't know if it's necessarily like a wall like regular Slowbro.
No,
is.
you kind of use it untraditionally. I mean, like the defenses,
Yeah,
the defenses are not the same, right? It's obviously not going to be your hard body Slowbro. I think more the draw of Slowbro like Galar is more so like it's one of two things. Either it's there as a member who can fit certain like defensive calls, so like versus fairies or versus like fighting types and stuff, right? And it also absorbs T-Spikes while having Regenerator. Like I think one of the most effective sets I was running a lot of weeks was Assault Vest. Because you patch up the Spadef side of things, and then you can use it as kind of like a get-out check to like certain special attackers. And the same can be said for certain physical attackers, right? Like there are some matchups where you can just run Fizz Def and it'll get the job done. It's still got Slack Off, Calm Mind, great coverage. It's got all the moves Slowbro has outside of like Teleport. So
Yeah, that's I think people are mostly gonna like Slowking Galar
of course,
over Slowbro, which is funny because of the usual way it is. Because Slowking it got buffed over what Slowking has, I think.
right?
And it just has like it doesn't have it has like a real role, right? And Slowbro kind of has like these stats that are like all over the place. So it's kind of like you're not really excelling at something. You're still good at doing stuff. It's just like you're not like, for example, Slowking Galar can check a lot of these fighting types in terms of poison fighting or poison psychic,
Right, more like the
and
special
stuff like that.
attackers.
Yeah, or the special attackers in
Yeah.
general, like what you're saying. Yeah.
I just think Slowbro it's a flexible mon. I think it's a great mon. I really enjoyed using it in draft, and I think it's underrated. I'm not sure, like I feel like I would have liked to see something else maybe in the spot of it, but I mean it's a mon with regen. It can do really well. It's just we'll see. We'll see.
That's definitely one thing that saves it, just regen. But
That's so good, dude.
yeah.
Plus,
Flycable is also pretty good for this team because like it can deal with some of the water types that Fairform might not be able to deal with
right.
because of the rain, because the rain can like boost the other water types and Vikable can maybe come in take 2 because it's very bulky if you're like investing into it, and then T-Ball's always gonna do a fuck ton to them, or like Swampert, like a other Swampert, E-ball that thing and it probably dies unless it's Rindo. But what's it gonna do back? Nothing really.
Right.
So,
And I mean,
I like that one too.
with webs too. I mean, you can run fast Ferrothorn. You're gonna be able to outpace things such as like Mega Mawile, hit him up for a bulldoze. Like you got potential with that too. So I dig that.
I mean, it's
I'm,
really weird.
I'm joking, Jeremy.
Hey, if it works, bro.
I guess. Something interesting. I think Slowbro G gets Trick Room, if I'm not mistaken.
It should. Yeah.
It does. Yeah, no, it does.
Listen.
So you could unironically run offensive Ferrothorn in Trick Room, or Vikavolt too, for that matter. So maybe that might actually be why he drafted it, because then it gives
maybe Vikavolt, maybe less so Ferrothorn.
Okay, Bandit Ferrothorn is strong, like unironically.
Bandit Ferrothorn, dude. SD Ferrothorn though, or Curse rather.
Oh, it does get SD. Dude, that's
yeah, it does get SD. Yeah.
No, it's actually not a joke offensively. Like that mon hits hard. Like if you invest,
yeah,
it hits hard as hell. Power Whip is just so strong. Like it's a meme pick, sure, but it's cool.
Sylveon actually, like you said, there was not much defensive synergy, but Sylveon can actually like wish up the Ferrothorn, which is really nice for example.
Yeah, I don't think the defensive synergy is that bad, but it's just
it's not that
that's
bad.
the issue
like
though, is that
perfect.
with Sylveon, you're gonna send out your Steel type or your Fire type. If you send out your Steel type, yeah, Ferrothorn can come in, and that's great. They send out a Fire type, you're like, oh, guess I'm only passing the Pelipper ever.
Yeah. But you can also pass him the Swampert, right? On like the Fire type, and then you can heal up your Swampert more.
Yeah, and
play more
Swampert's pretty bulky as well.
And I really like Muck as a knockoffer because it's like you never feel like putting knockoff on it it's never a bad idea. Like why would you not have it, right? So it's very consistent in that regard.
I also feel like Swampert now having Flip Turn that allows it to function a lot better outside the frame, because you can just still kind of use it as a bulky pivot.
Yeah, I was about to say that actually. Like I know that this guy like Rai is probably gonna bring just a raw Swampert. He's not even gonna have the Pelipper. He's gonna bring a raw Swampert and just still have it be a decent mon.
An idea too is like it's kind of silly, but I didn't bring it in Swarm, but I think I brought it in a different league where I had Muck like years ago. But like, bless you, you can run block on it, and like if they go out to like a bulky water, like certain bulky waters, it can just block and then just trap and just curse up, yeah, and just eliminate them, right? You can even run like Spite. I think it gets Spite, so you could run like block Spite versus like a Toxapex, and then you get rid of Toxapex, and now you're like your Rancor goes off,
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea. It's the team has a lot of like niche options. I'm not sure how it all pieces together. That's kind of a trend we've seen with certain like it's serviceable.
With the lower tier teams,
yeah.
They're just not like.
Any thoughts, Haz?
Yeah, I have thoughts. I am very, very sad right now because ZDH should not get into MLP. That's my thoughts.
Oh.
I'm so also I think if you want thoughts on that team, I think it's like a decent. It can function decently well if he plays well with it.
True.
And I think Rai's a pretty good player, so I expect him to do like decently well, even though the team is kind of unconventional. Like at first you kind of look at it, it's just like why might be your foot. Like it feels like a bit like a meme team, but the more you look at it, the more you kind of see like intricacies of like how stuff kind of fit together, and then you can definitely see it functioning well. But he just needs to play with it smartly. If he knows how to use it, I think he can get results.
Definitely.
Sure.
Next on our roster, we have the Philadelphia Pheromosa with Gohan, and he has a roster here of Tornadus T, Zygarde 50, Heracross Mega, Deoxys D, Kartana, Slowking Galar, Magnezone, Barraskewda, Gourgeist, Kecleon, Turtonator, and Morgrem. It's a crazy team.
All right, I'm just gonna say, first of all, this man got Heracross run free. Second, this man's Dragon Resist is a Morgrem.
This
and
is
I don't
true.
even know if it's really good. Yeah, you have Magnezone, you have Kartana, but it's not perfect, especially for Dracos, for Kartana, and Magnezone even as well, because Magnezone is very bulky physically, but they both don't really have. I mean, Kartana gets Symphasis, but if you're running Kartana offensively, something is probably wrong. For the good parts, though, I think that Torrent is obviously a very, 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 very strong Pokemon, and it's a good pivot. It can U-turn into Heracross. It can U-turn into maybe even a banded Zygarde or a offensive Cortana. Barraskewda with the flip turn and U-turn combo. Teleport with Slowking. He has a lot of these momentum. He can keep a momentum with this team very well, which I really like. It's a very weird team. If you look at it, it's a pretty weird team if you look at it, but I like it, kind of, like, in a way. I had it like very low on my team, like I had it very low on my own rankings, because I think I don't like weird teams. I just think I'm very basic. I'm not gonna lie about that. I'm pretty basic about stuff. But if you're good at using weird teams, like for example Wombo is not in DGBA, but he is a very big guy in terms of like weird teams and still making them work.
Or you called him fat?
Then I can see this team very much exceeding and going far, even with the flaws it has.
For sure. I'm struggling over here because on the screen it's like impossible to get this team like fully on the page.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Don't worry, we will fix this. I will fix this. Haz, give your thoughts.
What are my thoughts? That's a very good question. Every time I look at this team, I'm like, what do I think of this team? And honestly, I couldn't really tell you. It's definitely unconventional. Like that's without a doubt. I think there are stuff that can work. I think Taunty, Zygarde, Mega Heracross, like all can kind of like function together pretty well. Like Taunt can bring in stuff like Mega Heracross pretty freely. I think, didn't you have that in MLP Glop?
I sure did, yes.
And
it was great. It was amazing.
Exactly.
The combination is just so good, right? Like Torrent is gonna bait out a lot of like bulkier Pokemon, like maybe slower ones or like rock types, and you just get in Heracross and you just mess something up. Or steel types, exactly. Yeah. It's a really solid pairing, I feel like.
And
pretty electric types, he has Zygarde still.
Exactly right. And then what does Zygarde struggle with? Like grass types, especially since they can't run like Z Dragon for like stuff like Shaman and stuff.
True.
Well,
yeah.
He has Mega Heracross and Taunty, which just like eat up most grass types.
And Kartana can even take advantage of them, just like SD in their face. Yeah.
Magnezone seems kind of weird at first, because there's a Zygarde and a Mega Heracross, so you'd think that, oh wait, he doesn't really struggle with steel types all that much. But I guess if you think about what switches into Kartana, it's always the steel types. If Kartana can knock off like a Shed Shell from a steel type, then Magnezone's just always able to trap it, and then Kartana can essentially just go off in the late game. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing. Deoxys defense, I think, is gonna be kind of pressured into like a Hazard's role.
True.
Because he doesn't really have.
But it also has a lot of utility options too, right? So things like knockoff and teleport are super good for the team. You know, teleport able to get in things like the Heracross. That's really huge for it. And Spikes again lends itself really well to Torrent, because unless your name is Zapdos, pretty much every Tornadus like quote unquote answer is usually a grounded like electric or steel. And so having them take repeated damage throughout the course of the battle just makes Tornadus' job of cleaning up late game so much easier. Those Spikes also lend themselves well to, you know, the plethora of grass types out there that don't want to eat up that hit every time Zygarde comes out. So it's a super unconventional team, but I really see a lot of great synergy, kind of like you were saying with Rye, where like if the player is piloting it well, it can do really, really great things. I also really like the Slowbro aspect of it too, where like Future Sight can put pressure on to like having a dark type come in, you get the Heracross in, and again, you just click buttons. Like, to give you an idea like how strong Heracross is, I did not run Sword Stance. I think I never clicked Sword Stance. I might have had it on one week,
I think if you run Sword Stance and actually click it, usually you're doing it wrong.
Right. Like you just click a button. You just like predict
Yeah,
correct.
I think there's very few reasons you'd ever want to click swords on to make Heracles. Well, all it just needs to do is click a button that's just able to do shots.
And it's able to two-shot everything. Exactly. Not to mention it also gets spikes too, which is pretty cool. Just another way to keep laying on pressure.
Something that I talked about with L5, about his when I talked about his team, he has a Mega Mawile. Spoilers. He thinks that a lot of, like, for example, Heracross in this case, like getting these mons in like a checkmate position is so good. Like you get them in, and at worst you lose a little bit of health, and at best you don't lose any health and just get a really fucking strong hit off. So then there's nothing to lose, really, because you still have the Mon, and the Mon is never, like, it's a breaker. It's not gonna sweep. You have other Mons that can sweep, like Cortana or Zygarde or Torn, you know? Like,
right.
This Heracross can just come in, get a kill, and then Cortana can sweep through the Steel type that is now weakened, or can now plow through the rest of the team because the Steel type is gone because of the Heracross being able to come in earlier. You know, it works pretty well, and like you said with the future sight thing, Steels are gonna get pressured so much off of that. You know,
True.
like
especially with a zone being
like
there, they're probably gonna be forced to run Shed Shell.
I like this team a lot in terms of like what he can bring if he can play well. But like I said, I'm not a fan of unconventional teams. I'm pretty basic. But I think the dragon stuff that I mentioned earlier and the ice resist being Barraskewda is very sus.
Yeah,
well, there's Magnezone.
I mean, I don't mind the Barraskewda pick per se, but it's just.
No, I don't. But like, it's more so the fact
Yeah,
that
yeah,
the
yeah,
ice
yeah,
resist
yeah.
itself is the Barraskewda.
Not having another water type with it's kind of not particularly great. I think as well, like hazards wise, yes, Deoxys defense is gonna be kind of more limited on this team because of he doesn't really have many other great hazard options. Like Kecleon is the only other rock. I guess he can run Spikes, Mega Heracross, but that's not always gonna he's not always gonna be able to run that.
Mm-hmm.
And as well, his removal is I think Torn and Kartana. So
to be fair though, that's literally all you need. Torn is undoubtedly in my mind the best hazard removal in the entire game.
That's true.
I will take that. I'll take that to the grave.
True,
like,
you don't always want to run defog on it.
And that is the other thing, right? So yeah, certain matchups you might want a more offensive builder. You might want that taunt or that U-turn or whatever. So that from that aspect, it is limiting. But I feel like you can get away. Like Kartana is a Pokemon that forces switches, and you can get away with like Scarf Defog or something. It's not ideal.
Yeah.
But if you have to do it, you have to do it. But he does have ways.
I just feel like not having like other mons which are able to run those kinds of roles like limits like those mons effectiveness, if that makes sense.
Sure. No, I can definitely understand where you're coming from, because I think back to the roster I had in MLP where, I mean, it was nice. I had Drill and Torn, and I don't think after that I drafted any other hazard removers, and like I never had an issue with hazards though, because like to me like those are like the two, like that's the best spinner in the game and like the best defogger in the game. I don't know. It really depends on the matchup.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's definitely matchup dependent for sure. But yeah, definitely another unconventional team. But I don't think it's necessarily like a terrible team or anything.
We also cannot ignore the fact that there is the potential for dual screens Morgrem.
Yeah,
and I know that's kind of a meme pick.
Morgrem as well is, I think it's his only ghost resist, which is a bit.
There's Kecleon right there.
Oh, he does have a Kecleon.
Yeah.
I know.
There's still both.
Okay, the thing is, Kecleon's Protean, so then you kind of have mind games with that one.
But whenever you switch in, you're normal.
That is true. That is true.
And
correct.
I really like the idea of dual screens. I feel like that'll be brought because then you have like dangerous setup switchers. Yeah, like dangerous sweepers like Torn and Zygarde. That's kind of scary behind screens.
There's a lot of the dark ghost types. Like say a Gengar will Shadow Ball and then Focus Blast. You can like sneak off that.
Yep.
And kind of you're like weak to ghosts again after, but some of these mons can definitely take a hit. You know, like a Torn can definitely come in on a Shadow Ball and then go back into Kecleon.
Right.
Or Spectrier, you know, you can knock it off at like Shadow Ball comes in and it's like, oh, let me Dark Pulse. And you knock off and you don't take too much and you knock off. and then Shadow Sneak. You know, it can still function.
You gotta acknowledge that's a hard play to make too. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna Shadow Ball a normal type sitting in front of you? Like, I don't feel like most people would be comfortable making that play. You know, so there are the mind games aspect. So we didn't even talk about it, but I'm
technically on there. I might need to Focus Blast, and they just do the Mick round in Torn, and it's like, okay, what are you gonna do now?
I really like Gourgeist. I think Gourgeist is super good this generation. I don't think it's not an amazing mon or anything, but I think like it's underrated for where it's at. Like, you can have so much speed with it, or you can have so much power behind it with the big form, and like Poltergeist hits, dude. It be hitting. And also a lot of great utility moves. Leech Seed, Will-O-Wisp, Substitute. Like,
Gourgeist is also really good for stuff like Metacham.
For sure.
Or like Garchomp or something. Because usually you want to run a berry for those. Like Garchomp has Crunch or like Fire Blast. I don't know why we run Fire Blast, but you get what I mean. You know, like most like I used Gourgeist like once, and I used it against Zygarde in Gen 7. Of course, he has the Zygarde, but it's just an example. It's very physically bulky. It can like take these Dragon Hits, it can take these Ground Hits, obviously, and then yes, Crunch, and then at the time it would usually be like Z-Dark, and would just have a Colbert, and it would just hit Live, and then Will-O-Wisp, and now the Zygarde is pretty much like non-existent anymore.
Right. Unique roster for sure.
Yeah, it's a unique roster. I kind of like it, but I'm a basic bitch, so I also like really don't.
I really dig it. It's got a lot of mons that are like Glop mons, like Torn, Heracross, Slowking. Like, you sold me with those three right there. Like,
Turtonator.
Oh yeah, that's totally a Glop mon.
Shell Smash, Turtonator gonna go in.
Dude, with the screens, I'm telling you. It's a threat. Do not sleep. Next on our list here, we've got Habida, the Gisborne Gengars. And he's rocking a roster here of Latios, Gliscor, Toxapex, Scizor, Regieleki, Gothitelle, Talonflame, Licky Licky, Throw, and T-Tar Mega. This is also an interesting one.
I think there are cool elements to this team. I think Latios Gliscor is a good foundation to build the team around. I think Toxapex like synergizes both of those very, very well. And then I think Sizzle's a pretty good pivot. I think it again works with the picks that he has. And then you have Regieleki and Gothitelle, and like Gothitelle can trap a lot of things that Regieleki kind of can't beat. Like, it's actually able to trap most ground types like very, very well. And if you're able to like eliminate those ground types, and Regieleki is kind of just goes in on everything else, more or less.
Literally everything else, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Talonflame, Licky Licky, Mega T-Tar, I think throw for 3 points is fine. I think maybe I would have liked a better fighting type with this team, but I think he can work with it.
Dude, you know how bulky Throw is?
Oh yeah, it's pretty bulky. It's
Dude,
pretty bulky.
120, 85, 85.
Yeah,
Insane.
I remember I faced throwing random bats, and it like absolutely like demolished me. I couldn't it just made me very sad.
I really like Talonflame in this roster. Great speed control, and it's like his like defensive core has such impeccable synergy. Like, it really does. Like,
Absolutely.
Gliscor, Pex, Scizor, Talonflame. Oh my god, that's bonkers. Like, and even
that
T-Tar
does
helps.
mean giving up a lot of offensive pressure, which is weird. Like, he doesn't break much, but then you have Gothitelle,
Oh, he
which
breaks.
can quote unquote break.
He breaks hard. Latios. What are you saying, bro? Latios is
Latios
crazy.
is-
this year.
I kind of understand where Jeremy's coming. He like there are good breakers on this team, but there just aren't a lot of good. Actually, well, there's some ones who can break. But they have to
Gliscor?
go with that conventional sets.
Gliscor can break very easily. Defensive
Stall
teams,
break.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Well,
it can.
it can. And
I mean, more so like Heracross, like we talked about, like
Sure.
just now. You know,
Yeah,
it can come
just
in
click
and
button.
boom, something's dead. But even then, you have like Gothitelle, which can trap those grounds, quote unquote, breaking them, and then Regieleki can go ham, or even like getting rid of the whatever.
Or trapping, not even just for Reggie, like trapping them for like Latios.
Or trapping like the ground for Gliscor, or not the ground, the grass for Gliscor, and then like SD Roost protect maybe, and then EQ can just go off if like they don't have like a flying type or a levitating mon in the game.
I feel like Latios is a really great breaker on its own though. Like one of the things I feel like cannot be understated is that like if you can't break it, you can trick it. And with no like you can just trick something like a defensive mon, and now it's completely crippled. And that's gonna allow.
Yeah, but you also have to get that play though. Is the thing. Like,
make that play. I feel like Habita is gonna make that play.
I mean, no, it's more so the opponent, right? Like you're depending on your opponent to make like the play that, well, you know.
So when you argue the play is then more in Habita's favor.
Depends.
Well, yeah, it would depend in that case.
I'm just thinking, like, I think Latios.
I guess what Jeremy's saying, it forces a 50-50.
Sure.
Because then if you don't trick the right thing, then you're gonna.
I think Latios is just not great. I mean, it's a great mon, obviously.
I think
don't think.
I mean, Latios is good.
No, I think it's damn good with Aura Sphere, Mystical Fire. The biggest thing that helped it is the removal of Pursuit. You can't punish it for coming in, clicking the funny move, and switching out.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of crazy in that regard. Great speed tier.
Maybe it's just because like I don't like Latios much, or just to use it.
I feel like that has to be. It's so strong.
Because like you said, Latios can definitely come in and just like do a lot of damage. It's just like not how I like my breakers in terms of like like I like a Heracross who just like comes in and like, where's my kill? Like, give me my kill now instead of like.
You know what, Jeremy? This isn't your team, buddy. This isn't your team.
Yeah, but I think
doesn't matter if you like
that's why I think something is worse than others.
Does not matter. I think this seems actually kind of clean.
I like the team for sure. The only thing I think is kind of awkward is like a random Tyranitar. Honestly, it's like the random Mega T-Tar. But
I mean, it gives him a great flying resist, and it synergizes really well with Gliscor packs. It is kind of random, but it can be another rocker. Yeah, good ghost resist. Like synergistically wise, this team slaps. Like it's good.
Yeah, it's just like what you said. Like I think the T-Tar is kind of random. It does still like fit. It's just kind of like a random pick. Like you would maybe expect something else.
Dude, literally trap their fighting type with Gothitelle, DD T-Tar. It's over. That's what I'm saying. Like
not always how it works, but
it's over, dude. No, because T-Tar name a super effective attack that isn't a fighting type attack that T-Tar dies to in one hit. I'll wait.
A fighting.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Dude, Tyranitar lives like.
Usually you need a boost for that, yeah. Or yeah, dude, maybe if like Santa's off.
It can take it can take Earthquake from Lando, easy. It can take Sheer Force Earth Power from Lando, easy. Like it takes incredibly strong hits.
That's like what I said. Like that, you would need to like both the T-Tar are so fucking bulky, dude. It's insane. I want to use T-Tar ones. I've said this for like a long ass time now, but I want to use Mega T-Tar ones. It looks so fucking.
It's insane. It's insane. And great move pool too. You know. I mean,
I will also say Mega T-Tar and Gliscor are good rockers, but they don't always want to run rocks. So I guess that's maybe a downside. I don't think it's like a huge downside, but that could be kind of annoying in prep.
Do any of these Pokemon get Metronome? Because you could just run Metronome, hope for the court change, and then.
Oh yes. That reliable way.
I'm sure Licky gets court change courtesy of Metronome.
I also maybe would have liked Spikes on this team, but
it's T-Spikes.
Yeah, he does have T-Spikes.
T-Spikes are essentially the same thing if it hits the opposing Pokemon. Which it won't always, but if it does, it's basically that's your 12%.
Yeah, I think it more like late game like Latios, Regieleki sweeps. I think they would appreciate.
That's the thing. I think Regieleki appreciates T-Spikes way more than it appreciates Spikes, because poisoning that ground type puts it on a timer indefinitely.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. But then he also has options like Gothitelle, like Gliscor and Jerry 1v1.
True, but the difference is that you can't defog poison off of your Pokemon. So if he
But
poisons,
you can heal bell them off afterwards.
okay, most teams don't have heal bell. I would argue. It's interesting, right? It's all matchup. It's a lot of theory.
It's all very
But
matchup dependent.
what's
But
nice?
no, I'll definitely like T Spikes is obviously great. I'm just saying it's like an added bonus. Spikes would have been the icing on the cake.
It would
should I
have.
say. Kind of also help alleviate the fact that he has like 2 rockers. Was just my point.
True, but I think Mega T-Tar is so fine delegating itself to rocks. Like currently, like regular T-Tar and OU always running rocks, and so like Mega T-Tar now that doesn't have Pursuit, it's like you just have that guy to come in and just take hits and get up rocks, and then maybe Thunder Wave something.
Like say if he wants to run like a DD set, for example. Like
Sure.
Maybe...
Yeah, then it gets annoying. I would imagine.
but I think it's manageable, but it's definitely something of note.
I think Talonflames are really underrated too. Like the speed tier is so good, and with boots now, it's like you can actually sometimes get off your Gale Wings. But more importantly, I think that the boots allow it to perform the roles of like everything you want in a defensive mon. It's fast. It can get off the taunt or the Will-O-Wisp. Yeah, and you can use it to like shut down certain defensive teams with like taunt bulk up.
Yep.
Crazy.
I think this is such a weird thing. I think Talonflame is better now than it was in Gen 6.
I think that's the worst take I've ever heard.
kind of low-key.
That's kind of a hot take. That's kind of a hot take.
But I have to say with that, it does have to do because of the pricing, because it's value as well.
I was just talking more overall as a Pokemon. No, dude.
Yeah.
Overall,
Boots doesn't save it. Having priority roost,
Priority Braver, that's
priority roost, priority Braver at any point in the game, whether I'm at 100% or 2%, like, bro.
Yeah, stupid.
Very
like,
dumb.
Like in team tours when I have to like
I can
Talonflame, I'm like, how the fuck do I kill this shit?
I can kind of see what you mean in the draft perspective. If you're talking in terms of value, but I think that's because a lot of people overpriced Talonflame in Gen 6 team tours, as well, or just tours in general. But yeah, overall, I think this team is like pretty. It's pretty good.
It's solid for sure. I don't think everybody would draft it, but like. I really like it. I would be if I had to like pick up this team, I'd be so happy piloting this. This would be so cool.
Of course, because it has a regen mon on it. And...
yes, that's my thing, bro.
But then you'd be an absolute cunt because you have a Gothitelle on your team.
I would, yeah, dude. I you know what? I don't need to share my thoughts on Gothitelle publicly. But let's just say they're not pretty. All right.
Awkward silence.
All right, awkward silence. This could be clipped out in post. Don't you worry, bro.
No, I was just saying, it just sounded very menacing there, you know.
Oh, I'm angry. Number 9 here, we have none other than our boy Chess, the Memphis.
Absolute dog shit, bro. I know Chess every season. He just scrolls up to his bids. So can we just call his team trash and move on?
Do we want to do that?
No.
I mean, I'm down.
Actually. Okay, I'll just give. Have you looked over the team at least?
I'm looking at it right now.
Let's give him a bit of a chance.
All right. So he's got a roster here of Garchomp, Clefable, Necrozma, Volcarona, Mienshao, Rotom-Mow, Bronzong, Quillfish, Volibee, Porygon, Pineco, and Pidgeot Mega. All right, that's about it.
Clefable, worst fairy type in the game. Necrozma, worst plate type in the game. Volcarona, rocks, dead. Mienshao, literally a fighting type that is not strong. Rotom-Mow, not Rotom-Wash. Bronzong's literally like stupidly fucking passive now. Quillfish, Intimidate doesn't even work on low pony anymore. Why did you draft this? Volibee's never coming. Porygon's only coming in Spectrier, like a Spectrier matchup. Other than that, it's kind of GOAT. I'm not gonna lie. Pineco is not gonna happen. Pidgeot, you're not II. Come on.
I like the Volcarona pick. I feel like most people never are daring enough to actually draft it. Like we all acknowledge it's a solid mon. But like,
I only said that because we wanted to go over, but like whatever. I guess we want to actually.
Yeah, I was about to say, okay, now we can move on.
All right,
but,
all right. No, we can move on.
All right, no, I just
Fuck it.
No, I'm already on the next team.
All right, okay, let's move on.
All right. So we have the Pittsburgh.
Actually, can I just wanted to say one more thought. Ches was gonna drop Cameron and then he didn't, so that's why we're not discussing this team. Okay.
Yeah. Fuck you.
He's
a fraud. He's a fraud.
Fuck it.
He didn't deserve our time of day.
Exactly.
This man is the captain of the Crammers and did not draft Cram, even though he promised you. I'm massive.
Yeah. Like, I cannot believe he would do such a thing.
Next on our roster, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers with Ian. He's got a roster here of Zeraora, Celesteela, Keldeo, Crocodile, Slowbro Mega, Salazzle, Comfy, Decidueye, Cryogonal, Kangaskhan, and Tyrantrum. I really like how this team looks. I really dig it, honestly.
I don't think it's bad. I just it's alright. It's alright. I just think it's kind of it's a bit like the team to the left of him, Luke. But I just kind of feel underwhelmed.
I don't get that. I don't get that vibe at all, though. Like, maybe your argument is that like maybe you're gonna say, oh, there aren't breakers or anything, but like the team has the tools it needs to get a win. That's how I feel about it. Like it's a success. I really think this team can do very well.
It's not very flashy, but it'll get the job done.
It's not like some crazy, it's not breaking any grounds in terms of the draft format, but it's like I really like it. 2 water options is always cool. You got a defensive and an offensive option. I think Salazzle's an exceptionally good mon. It's hard to pilot, but it's so rewarding if you can use it well. Like being able to toxic everything in the game is so nice. You can't miss it because of poison types can't miss. The poison moves, it's great. It's great, honestly. And I really think like what most impresses me is how nice the back part of this team, like the second half, it looks nice, but they're also pretty good mods in their own right. Comfy is a menace for teams that can't handle fairies. Just Priority Draining Kiss is great. Like, I really like the team. I think it's got good options.
I think Comfy's kind of it's pretty decent roll compression. I think
True.
it's like it's probably not as good as it is in like 8-1, but it's like it still functions okay. I think Decidueye is a pretty solid mon. With like all the utility it can provide. I think he had it last season as well, and I think he used it decently well. Cryogonal, I'm about to sneeze. I didn't sneeze. That's great.
Good man.
Cryogonal, I'm not very big on Cryogonal. I think it has it's like an interesting typing with Levitate and like
I think
it can like spin and stuff.
I think it's pretty good actually. I'm not gonna say it's like amazing, but it gets the job done. I think one of the things
I don't know. I don't really know. Like it just spins and then that's it.
No, dude, it has other tools. First off, it's got Haze. Haze is a coveted move that is great versus setup sweepers. So things like Suicune and other like slower, bulky calm minders are never beating this thing one-on-one. Never. Knockoff.
Here's what happens when you have a Cryogonal though. You just go into your steel type. Oh shit, I have to switch out.
Oh shit, I've been knocked off. The thing, it gets knockoff.
I know it gets knocked off.
That's
just kind of.
But that's.
You're spending that much on a mon that just. I feel like there are a lot of other mons that can do that though.
Bro, it's 5 points.
I think you can maybe spend 5 points on something a bit better, but I mean I don't think it's completely unviable. Like it does its job, but I don't know.
It's definitely not a mon you bring.
I'm not huge on it.
Yeah, you don't bring it every week. You maybe only bring it 3 or 4 times, but I think in the right matchups it can truly shine. You're never beating Steel, sure, but you don't have to. Your rule is to keep hazards off your side of the field and knock shit off, and it does that really well. While also not threatening like water types with like freeze dry and stuff, It's an alright mon. I think one of the big weaknesses of the team is like Crocodile and Tyrantrum are your only rockers.
Yeah.
I think there's the only hazard setters too, actually.
Yeah. He doesn't have any other hazard setters besides that, and I think Rock's Tyrantrum, that's not always ideal. I think Crook's a very reliable hazard setter, but
right, with taunt and like it has like all 4 of the moves that it'll probably run are great. You love taunt, you love knockoff, earthquake solid, rocks, great. Like it's amazing. It's kind of like roll compression too in a way.
I think you can probably run like rocks from Crook pretty much every week. The only issue is that it just becomes very predictable. But having your opponent know what your rock for is pretty much every week, you can kind of play your game plan around that, if that makes sense.
That makes 100% sense. Jeremy sounds lost in thought.
Yeah, I have to deal with something
Jeremy,
as well, so-
do you think Kragan was a good mon? That's all you need to say.
It's decent at what it does, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Has on blast.
Kragan.
Has on blast. It's over.
No, that's fine. That's why we have 3 people. That's why we give you all the different takes on Kraganol in this video.
Well,
sorry, I thought you were gonna say something.
no, go ahead.
I wasn't really gonna say anything else.
What the? You just hit me with the and I'm like, oh, he's about to hit some profound knowledge.
I'm about to.
You know, I think it's more like you were thinking twice about shit talking Karaganal more. How dare you, bro?
No, I'm done with Kragan. We've
All
agreed that it's not a terrible mon.
All right.
It is a democracy.
I don't know. I really.
Oh, actually, no. I do know what I was gonna. I think his speeches are pretty good. That's
True.
What I want.
We got the 140. Is it 1 with Zeraora? Or is it 2?
Well, 143, I think.
It's
142.
Yeah, because it's faster than Polt. That's right. Keldio's great at 108. Salazzle is 1. It's not 112. It's 117.
Yeah, 117. Yep.
Which is an amazing speed tier. Puts you above the 115s, and it's like you always have to account for that thing because it's one of the like core members, kind of. I get the feeling that way. Karaganol is pretty fast too. How fast do you think Karaganol is? Has
105.
It is. That's a fast boy.
Yeah, I've used Karaganol before. I feel like I've never used it before. I used it, I didn't like it. That's why I have this opinion of it.
I'm dying over here. Celesteela, I don't know how I feel about it this gen, but it's still a really reliable steel type. You know, it'll do what you need out of a steel type.
Yeah, I think Celesteela is just not quite as good as it was last gen. But I still think it's I think it does its job like pretty well. I think people would just kind of sleep on it because it's kind of a very boring mon to use.
I don't even think that's it. I think it's honestly, Celesteela has gone down in usage this generation because of the shift of this generation. And the trend is that hazards aren't as valuable. Knockoff is probably arguably the most valuable move in the metagame. And Celesteela is one of those Pokemon that it can really, really thrive unless it gets knocked off. If a knocked off,
if it's knocked off,
a knocked off Celesteela is like, it's like, okay, this is terrible, right? Because you're always forced to leech.
I think, like, overall, as a team, and that comes with what you guys are saying about Celesteela, is that a lot of these mons are kind of they're underwhelming, but even so, they're all good at their job.
Yeah.
They're just not, like, insane.
Maybe underwhelming's the wrong. They're not flashy. Let's say they're not flashy.
Yeah. Maybe that's a good wording. Better wording for that, yeah.
Because, they aren't terrible mons, except one.
Which one is that, Has?
Fucking Kangaskhan, the scumbag.
Trash.
Yeah, I think as well as Celesteela, like, it doesn't have like Z any. Even though I don't think Z Celesteela was like particularly amazing, but
it was good for offensive sets.
Yeah, it just lost that option like offensively to like thrive, and obviously it didn't get cosmic. I don't think it doesn't have cosmic power, right?
It does have cosmic power.
It does or doesn't, because I don't know if that DLC was fake or not.
I'm like 99% sure it has cosmic power. If you want, I can pull up my builder right now.
Because I thought that was one of the fake things.
It got Meteor Beam. I see no reason why it wouldn't also get cosmic power then.
It does not have cosmic power.
Dreads.
God damn it, Celesteela.
Hey, but dude, Meteor Beam is kind of hype.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think. I think cosmic power is kind of a niche set on it.
I still think it's like offensive. You can still really make use of the offensive variants.
Oh, you can. You can run Metal Sound, for example, and then like
Throat Spray.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking more like Autotomized Power Herd Meteor Beam. Get past the fire. Get past the fire type.
Or like the classic Autotomized Weakness policy, which
True.
Just go in.
And then you get like acrobatics and shit.
Yep.
It's really solid. You're right. You're right. None of the mons are overly flat. Like, none of them are flashy, but they definitely are great mons.
But the team overall, it's fine. It's still fine. Not a bad team at all.
I dig it. Jeremy, any thoughts?
No, that was literally kind of the only thought that I had for this team. It was just like, I don't like, the mons aren't like super flashy at what they do. The Comfey is good at what it does, obviously, and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just don't like a lot of mons on here. But regardless, like as a team,
But you like Craggle. So. You like Craggle. You don't like a lot of mons, but you like the Craggle. I see how it is.
I don't like Cryogonal, but I think it's okay if you like it.
You know, I'm counting out the victory.
Both sides. Like, I won't draft it ever, but you know.
That's the most pussy answer I think I've ever heard. Ian, if you're watching this, I'm expecting big Cryogonal things.
I am expecting big Cryogonal things too.
You're all expecting Cryogonal to go in.
It will show has once and for all that it is a good mon.
We will see.
Moving on to number 7 on our list here, we have the Los Angeles Larvatars, piloted by Jack. He's got a roster here of Gallade Mega, Tapu Fini, Greninja, Mamoswine, Skarmory, Toxtricity, Blissey, Blacephalon, Regidrago, and Tangela.
Wow, so I think Jeremy should start off with this because this is basically Jeremy's.
No. Okay.
Jeremy's.
We can cover for you.
No, Jeremy loves this team because he sees Tapu Fini and Gallade, and he's sitting over there.
Oh, I'm not a fan of Gallade actually. I'm not too big of a fan. I had this team last season, but I think, most of it, like I had Skarm, Gallade, Fini, Greninja, and then it's kind of the same build, right? Like he has a ground type.
I think it's taken in a slightly different direction to yours, but yeah.
Yeah, he obviously made a different direction, but you know, like Mamoswine, for example, over Garchomp, which is you're not really getting Garchomp in this team, I think, with how the meta is shaped up. It just doesn't work as well, I think, so that's why it's a little bit lower. But you also have mods like Blacephalon in comparison to my team from last season, where it's better than a Lilowhack, obviously, and Blissey can do Snorlax's job better, even though Snorlax is more versatile and less passive. I like Toxtricity because it's like I don't know why I like Toxtricity. I just saw what it did in Poison Point at right leg last season, and it was insanely good.
Yeah, Toxtricity when like used for it, I think it's pretty potent. I think this team is like, it's pretty good offensively and it's decent defensively. I think Scum Blissey is like it's fairly solid in draft, but obviously like momentum issues can be a bit annoying.
With Fini?
Well, Blissey gets teleport now, which I think kind of alleviates that a bit more.
Oh, it definitely does. That's free momentum.
I'm not too sure how I feel about Tangela on this team. I guess he just needed a grass type, and Tangela's like a pretty solid grass type. I think that's kind of it.
Oh, it also helps with pivoting as well.
Yeah. It
can come in on the bulky waters that Mamoswine and Skarmory don't want to deal with, and just kind of threaten those things out. Also gives him another knockoff user. I really wish in my thing I had taken Gallade instead, because I think Gallade's stupidly broken. After really thinking about it, Triple Axle is an insane gift to this mon. Not to mention the fact that now Inner Focus ignores Intimidate. Really, really hard to stop this thing defensively. There's not a lot in the game that'll take it down. You have an insane physical move pool with like Leaf Blade, Close Combat, Zen Headbutt, Triple Axle, Knockoff. I mean, you really get it all. Fire Punch, Thunder Punch, all that crap. So it's got amazing tools. The thing I don't like about the team is that like the team looks like at initial glance it looks like a really offensive build, but then there's just a Skarm Bliss, and that was the thing that really deterred me, because I don't like, sure, you don't have to bring both every week, but it just feels like that really saps the momentum that you're seeing from Pokemon like Toxtricity, from Fini with Flip Turn, Greninja with U-Turn. It kind of like takes that away in a sense. But like overall, like it is a sound build, I think.
Yeah, I think Like Glade Fini is super good just because of like Glade is it's a weird combo, but they work super well together in actual practice because it isn't like what really works together, like Lando Rotom Wash, for example. Like of course Lando Rotom Wash is fucking great, U-turn, bull turn, you know, it's stupidly good. And you don't have that kind of synergy, but they work really well together in like what they can offer for a team and be like benchmarks. Like okay, Glade is going to be super strong and always going to be like good, and Finny's always going to be super fat and be good, or going to be like set up and stuff like that, you know. So I think they work together well for other reasons than what you usually think of a core, because it's not really a core. They just worked well together on teams because of what they can offer to the teams they are on.
Right.
Although I do think that the archetype, if you do draft those together, is usually very similar. But that's, I think, just a problem with Glade teams in general. They're usually very similar in what they need and offer and stuff like that.
There was also another synergistic, and I'm not trying to tear apart his team or anything, but I don't like Fini with Regidrago. I think that's really tough to play around because all you're clicking with Regidrago is dragon type attacks, and Fini is just going to be making those weaker all the time, and it kind of defeats the purpose of having that ability that powers it up, you know? So I can see complications in that regard. Like if there's a matchup where you don't need Fini and you just want Drago, then it's great. That thing is going to probably kill something, right? However, I just feel like that really hurts the prospect of bringing Regidrago a lot of the time. But like I do like Spikes on Gren. Like a lot of Galate's counters or checks are usually grounded fat things, so Spikes always helps in that regard. Mamoswine, like he just has Pokemon that are really difficult to switch into. Like Toxtricity, Mamoswine, Galade, those are all demons to switch into. So really strong offense and really solid defense from the team as well. I get the same vibe, like not to the same extent of Rye's team, but I get the vibe of like where if you pilot it well, it's gonna do great. It's gonna do great things.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think overall like Megalade's pretty well supported, like defensively and offensively, to like kind of throw on this team as a whole. Yeah. I also think Blacephalon could actually kind of come in clutch on this team as well. I think it's kind of it kind of helps break down like stuff like Greninja and Glades, and even Regidrago to an extent. Regidrago is kind of an interesting one on this team, because it does have a lot of things that can kind of like fairy types would kind of want to come in on. So stuff like a fairy type would maybe want to come in with Greninja if it isn't running Gunk Shot, or a Glade perhaps, if that bulky psychic isn't like particularly that great. Or even like possibly Mamoswine, although actually probably not really Mamoswine. You're asking for a death sentence if you're trying to switch most fairy types into Mamoswine. But
right.
Yeah, I do think there are options. He does generally have things that can chip fairies. Or you essentially just need the fairy gone right, because it doesn't really have it doesn't really hit that hard outside of its dragon moves.
Alternatively, you can bait it in. If you're running something like Trick on Blacephalon, or I mean, I don't know how many fairies want to switch into Blacephalon, but if you run Trick on maybe even something like Blissey, for example, or like even on Fini, and you have Ring Target, it's cheesy, but if you get it, that's it. It's curtains. You know?
Yeah.
So that is something to think about.
But yeah, I think overall this team's pretty solid. I don't think it really has like too many like major weaknesses per se. Maybe you could say it's only defocus as Scum and Finley, which are both like really good defocus. But maybe they'd rather have them not always have to be forced into run those moves.
The thing is, I feel like on this team you never want to run Defog and Finny. I feel like Skarm is going to be like Spikes and then maybe dedicated Defog, because Blissey can set up rocks so reliably. Like all it needs to do is be fat and set up rocks and soft boiled and teleport and seismic toss, and that's like literally all you need it for. Unless you need like a really like more defensive set with aromatherapy and something like that. But I think overall, probably Skarm's gonna be the defogger most times. And that was the thing people didn't like about Skarm when it had hazards and defog. It's like, wow, this is really contradictory. But if you dedicate it to just one of those roles, it can thrive.
Right, for sure.
I don't really have anything else to say.
Do we want to move on to the next team? It's a pretty terrible.
Yeah.
It's pretty trash.
Oh, is it Jeremy?
Yeah.
So we can skip that. Please can we skip that?
Jeremy,
No.
you want to walk us through your team, bro?
Actually,
Yes.
but one sec.
We need to go through the God.
The God Squad. It's a nice looking roster.
Just God. It's just God, honestly.
Just Lando I.
No, Scraggy.
Oh,
Yeah. We can just talk about Scraggy. Screw the
Yeah, honestly, fuck the rest. Just Scraggy, dude.
it's intimidating.
So, Jeremy, explain to us, because you're trying to invent Scraggy meta, right? Explain to the rest
Yes, sir.
of
Okay,
the
so
rest
Scraggy.
of the audience that don't
Scraggy,
understand.
pre-evolution of Scrafty, right? Pre-evolution of Scrafty. Let me look at draft board right now. You don't have to, but I will. So you will know where the Mr. Scrafty is. Scrafty, he is at the point of 7 points. Okay? Now Scraggy is 1 point. Scraggy with Ice Punch does 50% minimum to the Garchomp, right? That sounds like very little, but Scrafty does 58 minimum, so it's only 8% less. Then bulk-wise, with Eviolite, Scraggy takes 0.1% less. So you see the thing here, like 7 points against 1 point. Looks pretty good. Garchomp also only does like less than 33-ish, usually with Intimidate. You need to have Intimidate. Probably max defense, but it's a Garchomp, and even then, so you don't die to like for my team. There's a Weavile, so I can Ice Shard it. Ice Shard doesn't kill with Yachi, and then that's Life Orb, by the way, for Life Orb for 40%. On the Scraggy. So Weavile can come in afterwards, after Scraggy takes one hit after an SD and Ice Punches. Yes, it doesn't kill the Garchomp, but it takes it to a range where Weavile can kill it. And then you also have something like Sand. It definitely walls the fuck out of a T-Tar. It definitely walls Excadrill decently, depending on what it does. It can wall the fuck out of Spectrier because of Shed Skin with Rest. Even Hex. Yes, I know Hex is a thing, but Hex doesn't. You don't want to stay in on Rest Talk into knockoff. So it's a pretty good mod for 1 point.
I think it's broken for 1 point. The way you just sold it.
Yeah, for 1 point, it's actually pretty fucking good.
I think Jeremy's pretty fucking stupid. We can move on.
Next team. All right, so our next roster we have here is the Atlanta Braviaries, which is piloted.
Okay. Should I say, okay, if Jeremy, if you get 5 kills with Scraggy, what do you want me to do?
5 kills of Scraggy.
Yeah, 5 kills with Scraggy. I know.
It's more of a defensive mod than an
I don't care.
mod.
I don't care.
Make him go out to like the store and buy like painting tools and have him paint on like an easel. Have him paint a picture of Cryogonal.
Okay. Sure, we can do that.
Well,
So he's probably just gonna bring Scraggy every week now. I fuck Jeremy.
No, because you didn't bet on anything, so why would I?
No, that's the bet. If you get 5 kills.
The
bet is that you have to bring Scraggy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I just fucked your season.
No, listen. The bet is, of course, but there is a bet, but there is nothing going for me. Like, why would I make a bet if there's nothing going for me?
You get to see him draw a Cryogonal with paint.
He clearly isn't invested in the.
I'm literally listening. I just think Cryogonal is useless, so it doesn't matter.
What? You just said it was decent.
It's decent.
Guys, we can move on.
Okay.
Okay, Scraggy unviable. Jeremy's the only plus who thinks Manaphy's a mon. I don't know why the fuck he drafted Breloom. Lando Eye, apparently that thing goes from broken to being dog shit every season. Rotom
Moltres is
Wash
pretty broken.
should be 15 points according to data, so it's probably unviable. Weavile doesn't have pursuit, so it's dog shit according to all the top tier Draft League players. Metagross, it has body press, so it should go up a point. Mega Beedrill, insert the script to the whole of the Beedrill, the B movie. Moltres, just dog shit Talonflame.
What do you mean? It's broken. Moltres is broken.
No, it's dog shit Talonflame. It's dog shit Talonflame.
My bad.
Drodigon, I mean, just fucking look at Drodigon, okay? Like, just fucking look at it.
Dude, he's sick.
And Sableye and Gloom, like, those are coming to like one game.
Jeremy,
I just want to say one thing. Jeremy was already gonna draft Arbok, and then I showed him his schedule, and then he changed his pick to Gloom.
No.
I just want to say, Jeremy.
Listen. No. I said this even before recording.
he did say before recording.
I said I said in mod chat that I was drafting Arbok. Then Chess said, why are you drafting Arbok? Just get Gloom. And I was like, what does Gloom do? So, I don't know.
He's absolutely, he's lying. He's lying. Okay, do you even trust? You're trusting the guy who's trying to sell you to draft Scraggy. Okay.
You know, it's kind of funny. Dude, Jeremy kind of looks like Breloom.
What?
Kind of built like a Breloom, you know.
He's kind of built like a Breloom.
I don't have short arms though. Is the thing. I also don't have a tail, unfortunately.
Ooh.
I'm gonna magnify that by like 18 million in the post recording. Don't worry.
No.
All right, moving on from Jeremy's team.
You can not edit in my face and shit. That's not.
I'm gonna put your face over Braylon. Moving in at number 5 here, we've got the Atlanta Braviaries, piloted by Harris. He's got a roster here of Urshifu single. He's single. Nobody there beside him. Aerodactyl Mega, Slowbro, Heatran, Wheezing Galar, Thunderous T, Donphan, Miss Magius, Tapu Bulu, and Type Null. Sexy team, by the way.
It is a pretty good team. I definitely I like it more than Ian's team from last season. He had like Urshifu, Aerodactyl, and Sand, which I thought it was a little bit weird. Slowbro, insane. Not as good as Starmie though, but you know.
Right.
Urshifu is just a stupidly strong mon, and they have Aerodactyl, which is a stupidly fast mon. Speaking of speed though, this is something that has been said before. His speed tiers aren't like great, but he has a lot of synergy inside his mod, like Bulutran, and Bulu can like cover for.
I didn't think I'd see a single Bulutran team in late 2020, but here we are. We're back to 2017, where every Bulu team had a Heatran.
Bulu's still good, dude. Bulutran is really like, it's a solid core, honestly.
It is. I don't think it's really back. I don't think it's as good in Gen 8 when stuff like high horsepower is like a lot more common, which kind of like alleviates like the whole.
I wouldn't say it's more common, but it's an option. And if you have the option, then you bring it. But if you don't, either way, like Heatran is just great because like you're gonna know what things have high horsepower, right? And it's like, yeah, that's not gonna be weakened. However, Heatran's role is to come in on like fairies and like defensive mons that can't do shit to it.
Yeah.
And then
I'm just talking that more on the pure core rather than
sure.
Heatran as a mon in general.
I got you. Still still amazing. That 12% healing on Heatran is invaluable. I mean, a Pokemon that can't be worn down by Toxic nor Will-O-Wisp, and then you give it 12% healing every turn, kind of ridiculous. Kind of insane. The thing I really like about this team too is I feel like the Pokemon complement each other very well. Where like, you know, Urshifu wants fairies removed, so Heatran can come in, Magma Storm those, trap those, get them out of the game. Even if you don't trap the opposing fairy, if they go to their bulky water, Aerodactyl loves having bulky waters be whittled, toxic, taunted, prevent them from recovering. That's invaluable to its success. And I think Aerodactyl is an insane mon this generation. With Dragon Dance now, as well as dual Wing Beat with Tough Claws, the damage output is kind of silly. Very, very strong mon, and the speed is just great. You know, you can really tailor it to specific matchups and things like that. So I really love how the team looks personally. Type Null is a really good normal type too, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think this team overall is like I think it's a pretty solid team all around. Like Jeremy said, I'm not very huge on the speed issue because like its fastest Scarfer is the Miss Mages, but at least he does have Mega Aerodactyl, which is like is the fastest viable mon in the game. Because Ninjask. I'm sorry, BM, but Ninja is not particularly viable. And of course,
Brutal.
like Aerodactyl has the option of DD as well, which means that like Scarfers aren't a reliable way of just beating it.
True.
I will say he can also say is maybe you could argue he's a bit weak to ice, but I think he has really good ice resists. So I think he's probably gonna be fine on that front.
I mean, Heatran and Bro are pretty. That's either pretty damn good.
Yeah, exactly right. So
Coverage moves can be annoying, but
yeah, it's just the coverage thing that's going to be an issue for it in that sense. But yeah, I think overall like this team's pretty well balanced all across.
the only like pick on Ifion is like Donphan, but like even then, like you have Thundurus for electric immunity too, which is nice. So you can slot that in quite easily. Give it something like Boots, and now you don't have to worry about hazards. That is really nice. And you know, Weezing for removal, you got Weezing, Donphan, and I think Thundurus gets Defog. I think.
Yeah, and Mega Arrow.
Oh, true. Heatran's probably like a top 3 most reliable rocker in the game too, so that helps. NT Spikes from Weezing is nice as well, which can put like fairies on a timer for Urshifu, or put water types on a timer for Aerodactyl. So, or even like, you know, soften up the ground types for Thundurus to break through later on. Definitely got a lot going for it. The synergy, like Bro, Heatran, Tapu Bulu is just like you probably resist every type in the game, if I had to guess. Outside of Ghost. That's it, really.
I don't have much to say about this. I think you guys can pretty well right now. So I'm just gonna take a step back. I don't really like the team as much as you guys do, but I still think it's pretty good. That's all I really have to say about it. So if you guys can, you know.
Okay.
Cover for Jeremy.
I'll just say, let's just talk about Scraggy some more then. You know, he has that Urshifu single. He really could have drafted the Scraggy in that spot. So I think he loses points on that one.
For sure. I mean,
I think we've seen recently just how potent Urshifu can be as like a mon.
It's stupid. I mean, I knew that shit was dumb since pretty much day one. It just took a matter of time for the meta to develop. I'm talking OU mostly, but like, yeah, it's a ridiculous mon. I mean, it's like if you don't have a good dark answer, you just lose a Pokemon every time. That's all there is to it. You need a good fairy, and even then, if they predict you with the poison jab or something, or you know, there's 5 other Pokemon in the team, it's like it gets really difficult all of a sudden. Very oppressive mon.
Yeah, I mean, like we could blow into like P-Jab usually can like significantly chunk like most fairies anyway. So
right.
Are you?
It's just kind of like the free kill mon, you know.
Yep. That's pretty much what I have to say about this team. Just pretty solid team all around. Maybe he can do a bit more speed, but I think he can play around it.
For sure.
Oh, I've just realized why Jeremy isn't talking as much.
Why is that?
I just switched on to this game.
You switched on to what?
That last... No, you do not... Whatever.
Is he playing?
No.
No, it's a DPL game. You can move on.
I'll explain later. All
right. Next on our list here, coming in at number 4, we have the Houston Sableyes, piloted by Sablo. He's got a roster here of Diancie Mega, Victini, Mandibuzz, Swampert, Thundurus Eye, Klefki, Kommo-o, Scolipede, Serena, and Misdreavus. And I think it's worth noting he gets extra points for drafting the DGBA mascot over there. You know.
Oh yeah. Cool.
Solid pick. Respectable. It's a cool team. I like how it looks too. Like, and I just feel like all the mons contribute like a lot to, you know, the synergy, but also like they can complement each other pretty well.
I agree.
But you sounded real convincing there, Has.
No, I agree. I agree.
It's like a lot of great options here. You know, Victini loves having the Magic Bounce from Mega Diancie. Mandibuzz is probably one of the most reliable removers in the game, so that can also help Victini not have to run Boots, for example. Pert has found itself to be a much better Pokemon this generation thanks to having Flip Turn. You know, in the past it kind of struggled where it was just kind of like you switch it in and you maybe scalded a switch in or got up your rocks, but now you have the option of like maintaining momentum, and with a defensive typing as good as it is, it's a huge boon for it. Thunderous Eye, of course, also really appreciative of the addition of Boots. And Nasty Plot gives it a lot of options in terms of, you know, setting up and breaking through cores, or you can use it as sort of like an interesting, you know, prankster pivotmon, maybe like Tailwind, or even like, you know, Thunder Wave to cripple threats, as well as just Boots being nice for maybe potentially even Volt Switch. So he's got a lot of ways to keep up momentum. And I really like the Serena pick too. I think Serena got way better this generation. Triple Axle is just amazing for it. The Rapid Spin speed boost is huge because that was pretty much the only stat Serena really lacked in was speed. And so if you can alleviate that, you know, oftentimes you can kind of go on a little mini sweep of sorts, especially with Queenly Majesty preventing like priority, really helps it in that department.
Yeah, I think overall I really like a lot of these picks. I think Diancie Victini is like a really amazing way to start off a team. I think Victini with Boots is a lot makes it a lot better because it's able to come in a lot more than it could in previous gens. And I also think stuff like it even got like some minor buffs and like stuff like Scorching Sands, which I think is like underrated because now even like before like stuff like Arcanine or like bulky fire types can maybe like switch into it, but now even they come, which I think is just very nice for it. Mega Diancie's like you can actually even argue it's like the best Mega in the format. I definitely think it's absolutely top 3 Mega in the format. I used it pretty recently, and it always has like a really good offensive matchup because like the combination of Rock plus Fairy plus Ground, or like even Fire.
That's huge.
Matchup. That just like no team is like really able to like play around it. Like the only real way to maybe they usually do is like through like resist berries essentially, and you can like knock them off. But something which Mandibuzz is very well. Like you can argue that Mandibuzz and Swampert were kind of early around 3 and 4, but they're really solid blue mons. And I think they can like come to pretty much like every week, and they can just like perform their roles like relatively well.
I don't know if Mandibuzz was too early for round 3, but Pert for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying you could argue it. I think that's fine. And they also both offer momentum because like Swampert now is Flip Turn, which I think is really nice. There's a lot of momentum in this team, which I think is.
I'm actually kind of okay, Swampert is at 10 points, and it was 10 points last season before it had Flip Turn. But I thought Flip Turn was not going to be as good on Pert because Pert usually has like a lot of moves that it probably wants. But then I saw it in OU, and I was like, wait, I kind of fucked up on this one.
No, it's huge. It's everything for it. This is why we had such a long discussion on
really
Marshtomp until we found out it didn't get Flip Turn, and then we realized it was dog shit. But Pert, on the other hand, it's really cool to see this Pokemon come back into like the heart of the metagame. I'm specifically speaking about OU, but it's just really interesting to see that, you know, like it was such an amazing Pokemon back in like Generation 3, and now it's like back on the forefront, which is really cool. Como, definitely an interesting option. You know, not having access to Clangorous Soul can make it a really big threat. When you combine that with something like a Throat Spray, you get like an instant turn, like 1 turn setup, and if you have like adequately weakened the opponent, you can very easily sweep in a lot of cases, unless they have like a really good speed control, and even then they have to, you know, try to puncture through the defense boost that you're getting thanks to that. So really solid mon, and I like Misdreavus as a ghost type. You know, it's a low point pick. You got to get something. I think Misdreavus is really solid. It's always done well in places like Little Cup or even in the lower tiers throughout its history, and I think in draft it's probably still really solid too. You know, good speed tier, access to taunt and other support options like Hex, Toxic, Thunder Wave, Will-O-Wisp. even like mean looking Destiny Mon, you know? Like if you EV Misdreavus right, certain bulky Mons can get 1v1'd by it. Like you can use it to eliminate, you know, an opposing Blissey or even like a Toxapex, for example. You just mean look, you know, Parasong, and that's it. That's all she wrote. Just really, really cool things you can do with this team. The flexibility, I think, is one of its best assets, and it's just damn solid.
I had Como and Big Team last season. I think they both like synergized very, very well, defensively and offensively. In fact, and Como is such a flexible mon. I think the fact he got it at that point in the draft was definitely a very good pickup.
For sure.
Even stuff like Scolipede isn't even pressured as much on spikes because he has a clef key, which means he can run T spikes or can just like go fully offensive whilst having the support of spikes elsewhere. I just think all around this team's just like very, very clean.
It's damn good. Yeah. Any thoughts, Jeremy?
I like Salah's team a lot, just off of like a lot of the mons are just super good, and like just they got buff like Manibus Prayer, you know, and the only mon I'm like not really a fan of is Scolipede, and I think that says a lot because Scolipede itself is a pretty fucking good mon.
Why is he in the DGBA?
That's a very good question. How dare you insult the Swarm mascot Scolipede?
That's what I'm saying, bro. I dedicated my thumbnails to that boy.
Actually, one other thing I've noticed is maybe it's a bit ice weak. You could argue.
Yeah, to a certain extent. But the thing is, he has a lot of tools to like threaten ice types stuff. Like the Diancie, of course. You know, Klefki doesn't really threaten them per se, but it just kind of shuts them down, and then it can swing momentum back in your favor with hazards and, you know, utility moves. We also can't really ignore, again, there is that prospect for dual screens, so you can very easily get like a Como O setup with Clangor Soul, or like Scolipede with Swords Dance, or even Nasty Plot Thunderous. There are support options, even Diancie, for that matter. So yeah, it's a solid team. I don't really know what else you can really say. Coming in at number 3, we have King L5, captain of the Oakland Rose Raiders, and we've got a roster here of Mawile Mega, Hydreigon, Rillaboom, Rotom Heat, Slowking, Piloswine, Cobalion, Doug Trio, Crobat, and Weezing. Scary core in this team.
I struggle to say anything bad about this team, to be honest. I think just all around it's just really, really like a bunch of like really solid mons that all like synergize and work well together, and yeah, I just struggle to see like a glaring weakness. I think there's like one or two things you can maybe like one or two maybe like nitpicks you can have, but I think Mega Mawile to start off, they're like at like pretty much the best breaker in the game. I think you can say
it is the best breaker in the game.
And pairing that with Hydreigon, which I think is a really, really solid pairing with it, both like defensively and like offensively. Just one really good physical breaker along with one really good special breaker, and
for sure,
and they can break each other's checks like decently well as well. And then you have Rillaboom, which I think is actually kind of cool with this team. It gives Mawile like more recovery and like not being beat to like EQ, for example, and just being like a really good pivot whilst having the option of like really powerful stat priority, which I think is cool. And I think he just then drafts a bunch of like just like solid mons, like Rotom Heat, solid mon, Slowking, like again solid, works well with Mawile and Rotom Heat. Piloswine, pretty reliable rocker, and mon in general. Cobalion, I'm not super big on Cobalion, but I can understand why he's picked it. It's I guess having Mawile as your only steel type isn't the greatest thing, and I also think it does provide him with a bit more speed as well, and plus he has like pivoting options. I think for 11 points, like it does its job decently well.
Right.
Doctor with Mawile is really, really clutch, because being able to trap like steel types and fire types for Mawile to which Mulwar maybe just doesn't like fully appreciate being around. And even if they try switching, you just knock them off, right? And then they've lost their shed shell, and then
True.
like Dr. just yum 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 clicks EQ claims, and you're in trouble. I mean, it's a weird one between Dog Trio and Russia. I need to check if it has high horsepower or not.
If what? Dog Trio?
The thing is that Dog Trio, like, it comes in and just takes out a Mon, and then that's his thing. It's still like worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, L5 used to spam Dog Trio in Gen 7 with Mega Maw. Because like it's broken, it's literally broken. Like, it's
it does have high horsepower. So
but Dog Trio is a little bit worse now. So even if the grassy terrain is like up, you don't always have to go Dog Trio on that very turn. You know.
I really like how the Crobat fits into this roster as well. I think it kind of not only does it like look pretty, but also it fits in terms of like being another like utility mon with great speed, good typing. It lends itself well to the team. One of my only complaints is, like, there are a lot of options for rockers. It's just like when you have to make the choice. Like, there's gonna be weeks where you might not want Piloswine or Dog Trio, and I guess you could swap out one of the members, and then it's serviceable. But even as I like think through it and work through it now, that's maybe not even the worst thing. The core of Mega Mawile and Hydreigon is just actually ridiculous. I mean, we saw Tezzy put that to good use in Swarm last season, and I think it's an incredibly scary combination to prep for, even when you think you have good answers to these Pokemon, because they're notorious for just being, I mean, they're absolute savages. Like, Nasty Plot just pushes Hydreigon over the edge. Pure Power on Mega Mawile is stupid, frankly. Two incredibly different Pokemon to wall, and it's going to force damage to be dealt, and that really lends itself well to like a cleanup Rillaboom or like maybe even a late game Trick Room Slowking. Like, that's an option too. Like, you could run Trick Room with this roster. You know, things like the Slowking and the Mawile together work really well. There's a lot of options, and really scary Pokemon to go up against. Rotom Heat obviously got so much better this generation thanks to Boots. And it lends itself well to that momentum chain we see there with like the Rillaboom, even the Hydreigon, the Crobat. So yeah, a lot of really great options. And I really like the fact that they picked up a grounded poison too. I feel like most teams need a grounded poison, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah. Like the fact Weezing can now run neutralizing gas as well.
True. And you can just pick up the T-Spikes as you go. Maybe like if they don't have T-Spikes.
And even if like your opponent doesn't have T-Spikes, then you can still run Levitate and like have another like ground immunity.
Or even bring Crobat. Exactly. Yeah. So you got a lot of options.
It makes it less reliant on just having grassy terrain be your way around ground types, ground moves, which really it really isn't at this point in the generation.
True.
Like I said, the more mons having high horsepower and like Rillaboom's the grass terrain isn't like permanent, you know.
This is true.
So yeah, Jeremy? I just think overall just solid.
I'm sorry that I'm like very very.
I know why, but
it's okay.
But there was some actual shit going on. I can talk now though. Sorry. I mean I don't really have much to say about this team other than I think it's super good. But I'm a fan of like Mawile, Hydreigon, like these type of builds. I don't really have much to say. It's just like my type of team, and that's why I love it. I put it at first personally. I'll say that. Because I like it that much. I'm kind of actually I don't really see many weaknesses for this team. But like you said, the Rillaboom Duck Trio thing is a little bit annoying, which does hinder a little bit of some.
Yeah, well, I mean, we just run high horsepower. He's probably fine. Although the 5% miss chance, you know.
Strong rock types can be annoying if you're not running Cobalion. There is a Dark Trio to alleviate that though, which helps.
Yeah, exactly,
So yeah, there's always like counterplay, which is nice. So I don't really have anything else to say.
I just think this is just pretty well thought out draft. Actually, maybe one thing is that his only ghost resist is Hydreigon. So again, if a ghost type is Dazzling Gleam, could be a bit of an issue.
Like that Miss Magius we saw.
Yeah,
Big threat.
well, yeah. This big mismatch. Big mismatch. Harris already knows.
Next on our list here, coming in at number 2, we have none other than the Pittsburgh Magic Guards, and this is piloted by Recon Jack. He's got a roster. I love how this team looks. I just have to say it. He's got Scizor Mega, Lando T, Raikou, Latias, Terrakion, Primarina, Incineroar, Miltank, Vileplume, Frostlass, Noctowl, and Basculin. I just, this, like, the types that this roster brings, it's so nice. There's so much versatility. I feel like every Mon has a place in this roster. Every Mon can be slotted out over another one in this roster, whether it's for offensive or defensive roles. Even what? Dude, even the Noctowl. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. Tinted Lens Nasty Plot, that's not a joke. Do not take it lightly.
I do not. After Church drafted it, I know the power of the Noctowl.
And defensively, it's actually not even, I mean, it's not a great Mon. I would say, I wouldn't even know if I'd say it's a good Mon, but it's a serviceable Mon in the defensive department just because of its high HP. The typing is actually quite nice. Normal flying, like, you used to never really be able to utilize that defensively because of Stealth Rock, but now with boots, you can really see that sometimes, like, that typing is nice, you know? Like, we were talking about the Ghost Scare that L5 had. Like, I don't think Recon and Jack has to worry about that. Like, it's just...
no, definitely not.
You know? Good different speed tiers, too.
When I looked at Recon Jack's team at first, I was like, well, this is kind of underwhelming because, like, I don't really like Lando this gen. I don't like Raikou. I don't like Latias. I don't like Terrakion as much as, like, other Mons that can do the same job. But when you look at it as a whole team, it's kind of like, what was the team? Which team was it? It was Ian's team. Like, it's not flashy in terms of, like, some of the Mons that they can do. But this team is so good together, and, like, as a core and, like, or, like, as a whole, you cannot like, look around that, you know, even if the Latias is, like, not as good as a Latios, or Landorus can be better, like a Gliscor, you know. So they're not bad Mons still. Like, I think there are Mons that are better than them and maybe more valuable, but even then they're not bad Mons. It's still a Lando T, it's still a Latias, it's still a Terrakion. And you have Incineroar, who is really good at, like, checking stuff for, let's say, what, Latias for the Dark type, or Psychic for Terrakion and stuff. It just really fits together well, and, like, glues really well together. Sorry that kind of went on a tangent, like, randomly, but
no, you're good. That's what we want to hear about, you know. Yeah, and I mean, like, the momentum core here is really solid too. You know, Scizor, Landorus, Raikou. I mean, if that isn't one of the best Volturn cores, I don't know what is. You got Incineroar to back that up as well, you know, helping out in that regard. I think Noctowl gets U-turn, maybe. Don't quote me on it.
I don't think it does.
Either way, though, like, the core members of the team have those options, and that's always really nice. And I think that, I feel like a lot of people don't think Scizor is as good as it used to be, and I still think Scizor is amazing. I mean, I've felt this way since X and Y. It's just such a damn good Mon, and the thing is that, like, there's so many teams that can't deal with it. Even if you have a fire type, it's like you're gonna get knocked off, and if the fire type goes down, you just straight up lose. It just has the bulk to stick around, win games on its own, just courtesy of its typing and its move pool and its stats and everything, you know. Knockoff is great, U-turn, Bolt Punch, it's just, it's an absolute, it's satanic to play against it, you know, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And, you know, you combine that with other scary threats like Lando, and even in some cases Primarina, like, that combination of moves coming off, like, a Choice Specs attack is really scary for some teams. And I can't help but look at this roster and be like, wow, like, you really got, like everything you wanted. Like, even Vileplume is a solid Mon. Like, there's some matchups you're gonna bring that thing, and it's gonna be the star of the team. Like,
yeah, like Zeraora can really not touch Vileplume that
at
much.
All. Yeah,
especially with Strengths Up.
Yeah, it's Vileplume is one of those Pokemon that always does amazing in the lower tiers. Like, anywhere it ends up, it's literally at the top of its game. And I think that, you know, in the draft format, it still lends itself to, like, where it's such a viable Mon for what it is. And you never want to come in and take a Sludge Bomb poison. Never. It sucks. So,
dude, dude, fucking, I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday? Basically, there was this DPL game, right? And this guy, he brought, like, I think, an offensive Vileplume, and he, like, literally, like, killed about 4 Mons with it, or like chipped down Mons so hard that they were basically dead. Like 4 Mons, dude. It was like so fucking strong.
Does it get weather ball?
Special attack.
It's like 110, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane, right? And usually using it for its defensive presence, but it still hits hard uninvested.
I think it did like 43 to a Zapdos with Sludge Bomb. And yes, you boost that off. But once you get that poison, which is 30%,
right,
that Zapdos is not healing. Not anymore.
Right. And that's the thing. I think, like, when I think of a Pokemon that like plays offense while on defense, one of the first Pokemon unironically that comes to my mind is Vileplume, because it's exactly that. It's a Pokemon that has, you know, its defensive role nailed down. It knows what it wants to come in on. It knows what it wants to take on. And the things that want to come in to take it on never appreciate taking any of its moves, whether that be a Sleep Powder or a Sludge Bomb or whatever it is. It's just such an annoying Pokemon to go up against if you don't have the right tools. And I think Frostlass is kind of overlooked. I drafted it in MLP. Now, to be honest, I brought it one game and I switched it into a Draco Meteor from Dragalge, so it didn't have a really good run. But it definitely has potential. I think Triple Axle and Poltergeist are actually huge buffs for it, because it has the same attack stat as Special Attack. So you can use a physical set and, like, it's not a joke, you know? Access to good, like, support moves like Spikes, Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, Thunder Wave. It's got great tools, and there could be some matchups where you can really make a case for it and it's going to shine. Great speed tier too. I think it's 110 or 105.
110. It's 110.
Yeah, so it's damn fast. Like, it's and like those moves, like, they're like legitimately, there will be some themes you'll look at and you'll be like, wow, if I put Choice Band on this thing, Triple Axle and Poltergeist will 2-hit KO everything on their team. Like, there are times where that'll happen.
Yeah, like Frostlass just has two really good offensive typings, and now the fact that in Gen 8 it's got like physical moves to back that up, I think just makes it really, really good.
Yeah.
The only issue is that he has unfortunately dropped it.
He has?
Yeah, he made the trade.
Misplay.
He dropped Frostlass and Noctowl for Cofagrigus. I don't know how you feel about that.
I don't like that. I like Cofagrigus for T-Spikes as an option, which is really cool. So maybe that was his line of thoughts. And if so, then I understand that. Also, Trick Room could facilitate a Primarina or Incineroar, even if it wants to go offensive. So that's cool. I can see why you might make that exchange.
Yeah.
But either way, still really solid.
I mean,
like,
I do think dropping Frostlass was a bit unfortunate, but maybe just didn't feel like he was ever going to bring Noctowl, and then like Kofag's just a pretty reliable mon in general.
Right, solid ghost overall. That makes sense.
Yeah, like even like has Latias cover the speed tier as well. So I can understand him making that trade.
Basculin, I mean, I don't really know about, but I guess maybe it's just like an alternative offensive water flip turn.
Yeah, adaptability flip turn. Like it's pretty hard.
It's very skewed at home. Yeah.
Yep.
Understandable. Jeremy?
Yeah, pretty.
It's literally just that.
Pretty skewed at home.
What? I mean, you said Jeremy, but like,
yeah, I'm like,
listening.
Did you have any thoughts you
want?
want? Did you have any thoughts you wanted to add?
Oh yeah, I think I already put my thoughts on there. Like, pretty. Have you guys mentioned Frostlass? That might be something
I talked about Frostlass for like a solid minute and a half.
Oh, sorry. That's not the one thing that I wasn't.
Jeremy, he dropped it for Cofagrigus.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not. I guess it's not bad.
Right. It's like it's like there's a party that's like, yeah, it's good, but it's like, but like not having the ice type, like the ice typing is nice sometimes.
I guess one thing that's good for it is like the midi mashup, right? Like for Cofagrigus.
No, dude, just switching Frostlass on HJK.
Yeah, maybe sure like he had to face a meta jam, so you're just getting that.
Vileplume, Piapa Berry, Walled. If they touch you, they die because they get Sunspored. Effect Spore is broken, dude. That's the other thing that's annoying about it. Even if you want to knock off that mon, you're risking like your Pokemon dying to like sleep. It's so annoying. Last but not least, folks, coming in at number 1, we have, is it Des Moines Delibirds? I think that's...
Des Moines, I think.
All right, Des Moines Delibirds, piloted by Spoink. He's got a roster here of Dragapult, Corviknight, Metacham Mega, Nihilego, Snorlax, Seismitoad, Zarude Sandstorm, Jolteon, Aromatisse, and Volcanion. Crazy roster.
Definitely kind of wavy.
Dude, I'm so weirded out. How is Spoink fucking first, dude?
Yeah. I think this is
You get first pick in Dragon Ball once, and you're immediately like first place. So what do you mean?
Well, I think actually we could technically blame this all on one person, but you know, I don't like
Excuse me?
calling people out. I don't like calling.
What are you trying to say, bro?
And, I if you know, you know. So
If you know, you know. I like Spoink's team, like the first 6, and then Volcanion. I just really think Zarude is underwhelming. I think Jolteon is a very bad electric type, and I think Aromatisse.
He's just coming in. He's just shitting on the team.
Number
The
one.
time I've seen Aromatisse do something is when Slap has it, and that wears me out.
Bro, I think
That Slap is like
Jeremy shitted on this team more than we have collectively the last 3 teams combined.
This is true.
But like,
I think it's a
other
great
than that,
roster.
it's still like a Dragapult midi team with like a lot of support around it, like T
Yeah,
Spikes, Yellow, good rockers.
Absolutely amazing.
You know,
Yeah.
You know, because like the ghost and fairy weaknesses of Dragapult and Medicham are offset by like Snorlax and Hello Corviknight respectively. Like that's really nice. Good momentum core. It's amazing. Like Holt and Medicham are 2 Pokemon you never want to prep. You never want to play against ever.
Exactly. I think they're like they both beat each other's checks whilst also breaking down like similar checks. So for example, fairy types.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think as well he has like Corviknight, Neolego, both like Corviknight's just a really good pivot into both of those options. Nihilego I think supports like both Medicham and Pulp really well, not just in terms of like the offensively, but also through like the hazards that it can provide.
Yeah.
Snorlax is just a really good like ghost resist or ghost immunity, should I say, which I think like he absolutely needed. So I'm a big fan of Seismitoads. I think Seismitoads are a pretty solid mon.
Yeah.
All around. After that, I'm a bit. I was saying I dislike it, but
I like Zarude.
I think Zarude's pretty good. I think Zarude's pretty good.
See, I feel like the thing that doesn't sell people on Zarude is they look at it and they say, "Oh, you turn and you die," but it's like
no, it's not even that. Like Zarude offensively, I think is like exceptionally good. The fact that it has like pivoting options too.
I think more importantly, look at the like everybody at home, pull up your team builder and look at Zarude's stats. Just look at the stats, and the stats are actually insane. It's like one of the most perfectly designed Pokemon when it comes to stats. Typing could use some work, ability could use some work, but I think that like that combination of typing and the move pool lends itself really well to just single-handedly dismantling bulkier teams, right? Because
I think I've only seen Zarude do one thing once, and I think it was Ishan and Swarm. It was like a bulk up 6-0 sweep.
That's what I'm saying, but like you can do that.
Yeah, but then like the times that I've interacted with it, it just did nothing to my team, and maybe that's like on me.
I think it's more on your opponent.
Or like the matchups that it just really did nothing, but and that I think it's underwhelming because of that. But I think it's still. I still think it's, you know, I don't think it's like great, but I don't think it's bad.
I think it's a great one.
Really bad.
It's pretty good.
A lot of unique things you can do with it too, like acrobatics and a seed or something. Like if you're going into a terrain matchup or something.
Oh, for sure.
I like just like I don't know, just the combination of moves, bulk up, all that lends itself really well to just like I said, to just dismantling bulky teams. And the other thing too is like you can beat opposing setup, like Darkest Lariat will just ignore like if they're going for curse or something like that, you just completely ignore that. And alternatively, in some matchups, you just want it as like the Scarfer. Like it has a good speed tier where you can use it as a Scarfer, and it has like the moves you want in a Scarfer: U-turn, 2 strong stabs, and a coverage move. That's all you need. You know.
I completely agree. I can definitely like Aromatisse and what's it called? Jolteon definitely aren't the greatest of mons, but I think they serve their purpose on this team. I think Volcanion with boots is pretty underrated.
True.
I think offensively maybe it's a bit worse without hidden power because I think there are like certain dragon types that can kind of like switch into it, but it still has the option of stuff like sub-toxic, for example, or just like generally just like really obnoxious sets. I think and boots as well just really amazing on it. It's able to come in a lot. Just get the fact like having the option of Steam Eruption, which is basically Bella Scold. I think it's very slept on as a mon.
I agree. The
One
typing
thing,
is super unique.
One thing I love about this team is how Corviknight and Snorlax, I had Skarmory, Snorlax last season, and it was great. But I think Corviknight is definitely a better Skarmory in a lot of ways. Maybe not. I don't know the calcs actually. It does. Glop probably knows how different is Corviknight to Skarmory in terms of calcs, because I think
like physical bulk wise,
physical.
it's somewhat noticeable, but it's not too drastic. I mean, there's not a whole lot of situations where it'll truly make a difference, but with certain extremities like stupidly strong physical Pokemon, you're like he's gonna get that shit done.
Yeah.
He's gonna do the job. It's nothing too. I don't know. Maybe like 8%.
I think it's physical, or not physical. I think it's core, like defensive core, like Corviknight, Snorlax, type of stuff. They just work really well together. The only thing that you could maybe say, like fighting types, you have Aromatisse, you kind of have Nihilego, you have Dragapult, Medicham. It really works pretty well. I mean, Nihilego doesn't really take hits from physical ones, of course, but like a Focus Blast, they could probably take one.
Oh, it takes many.
Because
dude, that thing's HP is 109, and its Spadef is like 127.
Yeah, it's really fucking fat Spadef.
The HP is what pushes it over the edge. Like very little special attackers can get past that thing. You have to be hitting it super effectively, and even then, it'll like snack them up. Like Haz is snacking right now.
Yep. I haven't had dinner.
I don't blame you.
Weird
bro.
thing for me is like why he got Canyon except for Fire type.
It is kind of strange, but the thing is, he does have ways to like maintain it. So, for example, he can pass wishes into it, and with boots, that just helps it really stay like healthy. A lot of times, you're gonna use your steel or fire types to beat Aromatisse, and that's like the most free wish pass into Volcanion to keep throwing out like cranked up Scald. It's kind of dumb.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
And I think Has really articulated it well when he talked about Aromatisse and Jolteon. They serve their purpose. They're there for a reason, and they can do that position, which I think is really valuable. You want all of your members in your team to feel like there's valuable, or that you can maybe make a case why they should come this week, and that's kind of the impression I get when I glance at this team,
Yeah, I just think all in all, just like very, very scary team to prep for. I guess a big reason is the Pult Medicham definitely does carry the team a lot, but I think there's like a lot of other things as well. Maybe you can argue the hazard setting and hazard removal isn't like in terms of options aren't like varied, but I think they can at least do their jobs like well. Like Nihilego, Seismitoad can both subs rocks fine. And I think Corviknight and Volcanion more depends on if it has its boots intact. If it loses boots, then it's not particularly ideal for defogging. But Corviknight can definitely like defog on most swings.
I think it's one of the most reliable defoggers, specifically just because of pressure. Like if played perfectly, hazards will never remain in your side of the field, because if you always come in on the rocks and you force out the rocker, you always just defog the rocks. They lost 2 rocks, you only lost 1 defog. Math checks out that you will always come out on top, and I think that's one of the craziest aspects of Corviknight to me, is that that it can just do that. Like, you wouldn't think pressure would be a valuable ability on that Pokemon, but it actually has so many applications. Like, a good defensive mon with pressure and recovery is ridiculous. Most Pokemon that have pressure don't have recovery, so you give it to a Pokemon and you really will, like, especially in a longer game, a more drawn out game, you will notice that, like, for sure. You'd be like, oh shit, I only have like 8 Thunderbolts left, or I only have like 10 Woodhammers. It's like, wow, where'd they all go? And I think the momentum aspect of it cannot be understated too, because it's just like Corviknight gets such free U-turns. I mean, it's great typing, great resistances. That's gonna allow it to get off U-turn so many times to the point where you just bring in Medicham and like just win.
I think if Skarmory compared to Corviknight, if it had U-turn, I think Skarmory might just be better than Corviknight.
I will disagree on that just for the sake of the SpDef stat. The SpDef on Corviknight is what really differentiates it from what's it called?
I think maybe I guess it's like a slow king type deal, maybe.
I look at them as different Pokemon, almost.
This is kind of true. I mean, it's kind of the same deal, right?
Because if you think about it like this, bro, it's like Corviknight. It's known for the roosting, the defogging, the U-turning. Yeah, Skarmory can do those things too, but when I see Skarm, I think more about like the physical walling and the hazards. Like hazards are what define Skarmory more so than defogging.
Yeah, but the thing is like I think if Skarm, especially on this team, I think if Skarm had U-turn, it would have been really good for this team over Corviknight, because it's not as pressured in terms of like what the Blissey thing was of Skarm and Bliss in Jack team. It saps so much momentum, and that's why Corviknight I think is way better on this team.
I also think Skarmory would be a way better mon. It would probably be more points if it had U-turn. Especially with body press.
There, but like I brought it up earlier, I think Skarm is better with Snorlax because they kind of wall like physical and special like separately.
Shoutouts to Gen 2
but when you think about it, like Corviknight works so well with Dracopult and Medicham and Heligo and Volcanion as well with the U-turn, even if it's a little bit less physically bulky over Skarm.
And the synergy of Corviknight and Seismitoad is really amazing too. You know, they cover for each other's weaknesses perfectly, and it's the team is so damn sound. And like I said, I think like the thing to me when I first looked at it was that you can make it, like I feel like in almost every matchup you can make a case for just about any mon coming in that matchup, which I think is really, really valuable, and that's exactly what you want in a roster of Pokemon that you draft.
I completely agree. Yeah, I mean it's a weird one for number one, I think, because I think there are definitely more flaws on this team than like other teams that we mentioned in like some of the lower slots. But I think if it's used to its full potential, just
it's so strong.
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
Unlike the team next to it, yeah.
Oh yeah, bro. That's just Scraggy plus fodder, you know.
Scraggy plus fodder. Any closing thoughts, gentlemen?
Actually, I just want to know, how long have you been recording for?
For like 2 hours.
2.5 hours.
Yeah. Nice. Let's see if we hit the PR record. I'd be very surprised if anyone is still watching, but if anyone is still watching, if you at me with the words Frog Chazben123, I'll give you a 3 month of Nitro.
Ooh, exclusive deals, folks.
Yeah, exclusive deals. That's if you watch the whole video
with no ad block, because you know the DGBA YouTube be spamming ads.
Or actually, I'm gonna say except Spoink, because we were on Spoink's bits.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So sorry, Spoink.
Jeremy, anything you want to say?
Besides Spoink.
The only thing I have to say is that I'm sorry for like the me being excluded for a long time.
Unforgivable.
Someone just came up.
You're not gonna be in PRs next time, buddy.
Oh my goodness.
I had my eyes on it. Yep.
But yeah.
All I would say is that I
enjoyed this.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I really enjoyed this, and I think it was really, really awesome. You guys let me come on board for this. It was a blast, and I look forward to seeing how the seasons play out for everybody.
Yeah, especially for these teams. I think a lot of these teams are like pretty damn good. Like some have flaws, but I don't think like last season. I think the biggest issue we had with like when turning this tier, or like when I had or turning to rank, is like all the teams are kind of like all these teams are kind of bad. I'm not gonna lie. And then now it's like, except maybe BM, like the team
damn the call out.
I mean
that's JJ draft opinion. It's not even on BM, so.
Well, it is on BM for making for not bothering to draft his own team.
This is true.
Yeah, true.
Folks, it has been a treat having you here. This is the DGBA YouTube signing off, and we will see you in future installations of the PR rankings.